Guys, what if I got like a horologium tattoo? Like right here. 500 likes and I'll get a horologium tattoo. Hello and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel on the platform. I am in a new setup today, a new country even. I've returned home for the summer and finally have gotten around to making another video. I know all of you were really excited for this and anticipating this, so of course I have come to deliver. Now today, I'm sorry to tell you that it will not be the romance-filled, joyous time that we experienced last with Impy. Unfortunately, today will be a very somber, dark journey with the one and only Van Helsing. And so I just want to preface this up front by saying, set your expectations for romance low, because you don't even know what's coming for you. Now, I don't think we need to do an in-depth recap. I think everyone here remembers. Just in case you don't, pretty much the only thing you need to know is that we are Cardia, okay? Beautiful, lovely, strong, independent woman, but she does have a very important problem, which is that she has a deadly poison that courses through her veins, making anyone unable to touch her, or their hand will burn off. And this deadly poison is caused by none other than the horologium, the beautiful heart-shaped gem that resides on our chest, okay? I know you remember it. Iconic. Guys, what if I got like a horologium tattoo? Like right here. 500 likes and I'll get a horologium tattoo. Well, this door sucks. I miss my bathroom wall. So the horologium causes the poison. Now, if you'll recall, we kind of found like a little harem of love interests that we lived with, trying to uncover the truth about our father, Isaac Beckford, brilliant inventor, created the world. A lot happened, but basically where we left off at the end of chapter 8 is we discovered Isaac's underground bunker, his underground lab, and we all headed down there. Now, if you'll recall, this is where the common route branches off into all the individual routes. We saw that with Impy's route, and now I'll just go over quickly what happens when you are on Van Helsing's route. We enter the underground bunker. It's very dark, mysterious, scary. Right off the bat, we're like, okay, we will go with Van Helsing. I mean, who wouldn't want to go with him, right? Like, he's definitely the most capable out of all the guys that were there. Like, let's be honest. Now, some things to recap about Van Helsing. He was a member of Twilight, the secret military organization that is part of the government, okay? Headed by our brother, Phineas. Now, if you'll recall, Van's #1 goal is to kill Phineas, okay? He hates Phineas. But if you'll also recall, Phineas is immortal. And so that's kind of posing some problems. So Van also wants to find out why he's immortal, kind of get to the bottom of that. And he thought that by teaming up with us and all of our men, he could get more information about Isaac, which in turn would get more information about Phineas and just kind of get him closer to Twilight. So that's why he's working with us. He's super moody, he's super mean, he doesn't like us that much, he doesn't like anyone, but we like that, so we're into him. So we're like, oh my gosh, Van, like, we want to go with you to investigate, like, is that okay? And he's like, yeah, I guess, but like, stay out of my way, like, seriously, all you do is cause trouble, so like, don't bother me. We're like, okay, cool. And so we enter this room, we're like looking through papers, you know, we're probably like not helping that much. And then out of the blue, Van Helsing is like, you know, I just have to say thank you, Cardia, for bringing me into the fold of this group. Like, without you guys, I never would have found this lab. So really, like, I owe a lot to you guys. And this is like probably the first nice thing he's ever said in his life. So we're like shocked. We're like, oh my gosh, like, of course, no worries. Like, our pleasure. And, you know, he's rifling through the papers and we're just kind of thinking, we're like wondering about like why he cares so much about Phineas and like why he cares so much about him being immortal and all that and blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, okay, like, Van, I have a question for you. Van Helsing, do you hate Phineas? Like, girl, come on. And he's like, that is personal. Mind your own damn business. And I don't want to hear you asking about Phineas one more time. So we're like, whoa, okay, point taken. So that's kind of the end of that. We don't really find anything conclusive in the lab, which is kind of lame. But this just kind of sets up that the whole route's going to be about like Van Helsing and his desire for revenge against Phineas. So prepare for a lot of that. Now, if you'll remember, this is where we figure out that we are a homunculus. We are not human. We enter that room with like 50 like failed versions of ourselves. It's very scary. And who is in that room but our brother Phineas? Love him. Love him so much. And he starts going wild. He's like, you suck. Like, you are not even human. Like, you're terrible, blah, blah, blah. Like, going crazy. And we're like, no, please. And then Van busts into the room, pulls out the gun to Phineas, and he's like, you better stop that. I'm gonna kill you right here and now. And then we find out that Van knows that Phineas is immortal because Van has actually killed him in the past. He's like shot him in the head and he died. And then here he is. So that's how we know he's immortal. We have like definitive proof. So that's kind of scary. But then, of course, if you'll recall, Saint Germain appears on the scene. Beautiful Saint Germain. You know that poem in To All the Boys I Loved Before where he's like, I feel the bright eyes of beautiful Laura Jean. I feel the bright eyes of beautiful Saint Germain. Anyway, beautiful Saint Germain kills Phineas. And he's dead. Van Helsing is like, he's pissed off. He's like, bro, like, my whole goal here is vengeance against Phineas. Like, why'd you do that? And he's like, sorry. And we're like, no, Phineas, you know, it's a disaster. And then just as we do in the other routes, we go home back to the mansion. We're like, we're a burden to everyone and we need to leave. And so we end up sneaking out and leaving the mansion. And in this route, the very first thing that we think of before we leave is Van Helsing's beautiful face. And we just sort of think about all the trouble this guy's going through, like not being able to kill Phineas. And if you'll recall, he's also having all that drama with Deli, the little boy vampire, who is gonna kill him at some point in the near future. So we're thinking about that and we're like, wow, life really sucks for Van Helsing. And that's the end of chapter 8. Now we're officially on Van Helsing's route. Everyone cheered. And we start chapter 9 in kind of something that will set the tone for the rest of this route, okay? Van is having a dream. We know this because of the customary sepia tint on the screen. This is a very sad dream, okay? So it's actually a memory. He is fighting with King Delacroix I, who is the father of little baby Delacroix II, okay, aka Deli. So Van Helsing is fighting with Deli's father, and it's like a really brutal battle. Like, it seems like it's a battle to the death. And clearly there's a past there. You know, we know from the common route that Van Helsing ends up killing all of the vampires and all of Deli's family, and of course King Delacroix I. But in this dream, they're just sort of beginning that battle, and they seem to have like a very complicated relationship. Like, King Delacroix is like, come on, use the skills that I taught you, like implying that maybe he trained Van Helsing in the past, and Van Helsing is like, I'll never forget what you've done for me. Like, clearly this is a painful battle, and like there was some history here, okay? And then, you know, before we get much answers, Van Helsing wakes up. And he's like depressed because, you know, SG killed Phineas and kind of took away his opportunity to do that. Even though he's immortal and like he's still out there somewhere, like he's still kind of bummed about that. And so he is like not doing well when suddenly someone comes in making a huge racket, okay? Disrupting his sleep. No surprise there. It's Victor. Victor comes in causing a scene, and Van Helsing is like, whoa, dude, like it's 5 a.m., like you're being way too loud. And he's like, no, emergency. Cardia is gone. And immediately Van jumps out of bed and he's like, okay, we need to find her. Now we cut back to us, okay, little old us out in the big world, and we are at the train station, okay? And we are talking to the train station employee, okay? This is dapper young gentleman. And he is like, sorry, girl, like the last train to Wales left like 10 minutes ago. So you're gonna have to wait until tomorrow morning. No trains for you. And we're like, no, like that sucks. Like we can't go home. Like we're just gonna have to like be out in the streets. And the train station employee is like, yeah, girl, like that kind of sucks for you because there's actually a serial killer on the loose right now. Yeah. And we're like, what? Like serial killer? And he's like, yeah, like his name's Jack the Ripper. He just escaped from prison. And yeah, he's like only targeting women. So I would like watch your back, girl. Like, you're gonna be first on his list if he sees you. You know, the government and the Scotland Yard, like, they're trying to find him, but like they're not having much success. Like, it's not going well. And like, he's like pretty gnarly. Like, he will like remove your internal organs. So like, be careful out there, and I'll see you tomorrow at the train station. Like, what the hell? Okay. And you know, we don't even like pay any attention to that. We're like, wow, that's scary. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go roam the streets of London, like by myself. And not even that, we're gonna go to the poorest section of town, like where crime runs rampant, and we're just gonna like roam around in the streets. Like, that sounds like a good idea. And you know, we're roaming the streets out and about, and we're just thinking about Van Helsing. And we're like, you know what? Now that like Phineas is dead, he has no reason to ever see us again. Like, his objective's met. Like, this sucks. Like, I hope he has a good life, I guess. And this poor part of town is like so gnarly. Like, there's lots of like seedy behavior going on, like guys trying to like proposition us. Like, it's scary. And we're like right in the center of the town when suddenly we hear footsteps, and we've been trained by our harem of men. Like, we know when someone is following us, and so we like try to get away. We like try to take off through the streets, and suddenly someone like grabs us from behind and pulls us into a dark alley. Who could have seen that coming? And we're like calling for help. We're like, please. And we like try to like melt this glove that's like over our mouth. This guy's glove. He's like pulled us back. But it's not melting. Like, this guy has poison proofed his glove. So like, he knows who we are. Clearly, this isn't like a random attack. We smell something sweet on the glove, and before we know it, this guy's drugged us and we've blacked out. Classic. Now, when we awaken and open our eyes, we are in the sewers. Okay, we're tied to a chair in the middle of the sewers. And not only that, we are hearing the sounds of some woman being brutally murdered. Like, what a way to start the day. Like, I don't know if you're picking up on this, but like, this is like a huge tonal shift like for the game. Like, it's always been like kind of off the rails, but like this route goes crazy. And this was the second route I've ever played, so I was like very confused. But don't worry, like, they can be confused together. And so then we hear this like scary humming, and this dude shows up. He's got like a mask on and like a drop of blood drawn on the mask, and he's holding scissors. Like, he looks like a clown. It's very weird. He like smells like blood. Like, it's really gnarly. One guess who this guy is. And he's like, hey girl, like, wow, you were out for 3 days. Like, that's pretty crazy. I must have like misgauged the amount of drug I gave you. And like, I know you just heard me kill that girl, but like, don't even worry. Like, she was impure. She was like a prostitute. Like, who even cares about that, right? So like, don't even worry. And right away, we recognize this guy's voice. He was the train station employee from 10 minutes ago, back at the train station, okay? You know, the guy who was telling us about the serial killer? It was the serial killer the whole time, okay? That's why you gotta be very wary when you're at the train station. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, we know you. You're the train station employee. And he's like, surprise, it's me, Jack the Ripper. And you know, some guy helped me escape prison. And this guy, he was actually like, hey, I want you to capture this girl named Cardia who has a deadly poison coursing through her veins. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that for you. Yeah, Jack the Ripper captured us, and here he is. And we're like, okay, we're like very confused by this. We're like, so you're gonna kill us or you're not gonna kill us? And he's like, no. I'm not gonna kill you. Like, I just captured you to help out the guy who helped me. You know, like, it's an arrangement. And he doesn't tell us who this guy is, but some mystery guy. And we're like, well, you actually suck, and like, you're super evil, and like, I can't believe you just killed that lady. And he's like, no girl, like, I'm just purging the evil women from this world, okay? And like, I know you think I'm crazy, like, everybody thinks I'm crazy, but this guy, who seems to know you, by the way, the guy who wanted you captured, he like understood me. He was like, no, like, it's totally cool to kill a bunch of women. I just love him. Like, I think he's probably an angel on this earth. And then he starts like going wild. He's like ranting about how he was like sent to earth to kill people and like just a disaster. We're sitting there like, okay, like, let's wrap this up. No more of this. And then he like starts coming up to us with the scissors, and he's like, oh, like, I just love to like cut you up with these scissors. And he like comes up close to our face, and we're like, oh my gosh, she's gonna cut our head off. And then he just like trims our bangs. He's like, let me give you a little touch-up, girl. And then he just like walks out. I don't know, guys, like I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, now that he's gone, we're like, okay, we gotta get out of here before he like actually does cut off our head. So we start using our poison to melt the ropes that have tied us to the chair. And we end up succeeding, joyous day, but unfortunately we hear Jack coming back right as we manage to escape. And so we're like, okay, we channel inner Van Helsing and remember the techniques that he's taught us, and we run at Jack and just like body slam him. And he falls to the floor. That's how strong we are. We're very strong. And so we're running. We're like, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of the sewer. Like, this is a disaster. And we think we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're running and we're almost there. And we get to the end and the door is locked. Okay. And then Jack, you know, he saunters up to us. He's like, you thought you could escape? That's funny. And so we're like, we need to find another way. We like run a different way, run another corner, and we enter this tunnel that's like full of like blood and guts. Like, it's like disgusting. And Jack is like, oh yeah, this is like where I kill everybody. Like, welcome in. And we're like, no, like you're so evil. You're the most evil man on earth. And he's like, girl, like don't even act so righteous. Like, I know you've probably killed someone before. Like, I can just tell when people have killed, like you have like a certain vibe to you. And like, girl, you got that vibe. And then he's like, by the way, like I was only told not to kill you, but he didn't say anything about not harming you. So I'm just gonna like cut off your legs and then you won't escape anymore. So like, don't even worry about it. I'm just gonna do that right now. And we're like terrified. He's like grabbed us. He's like getting out the scissors, about to chop off our legs. And then we hear someone bust in. And then the most attractive voice on earth, they're like, stand back, filth. And then we hear a gunshot and someone takes us in his arms, and it's Van Helsing. And he's like, Cardia, are you hurt? And we're like, no, I can't believe like you're here to save us. And he's like, girl, only you would run away, tell nobody, and then get captured by a serial killer. Like, why am I not surprised? And we're like, oh, but like, why did you save us? Like, now that like you've met your objective of killing Phineas, like, we're worthless to you. And he's like, I don't know, I felt like it. Like, I was in the area. Like, not very romantic at all, but that's okay. And he says that he used the horologium detector. If you'll remember, way back to chapter 1, when we were first captured in our house in Wales, they found us using this horologium detector, which works because when we're in a confined space for a certain amount of time, our poison builds up, and the detector is able to detect that. And so since we were in the sewer tunnel for like 3 days, our poison built up and the detector managed to find us. So that's how he got here. Yeah, like he came to save us, which honestly is like very out of character for him. So clearly he cares about us a little bit, like even if he's not gonna admit it. And so we're having this lovely moment, but unfortunately Jack gets up from the ground because of course Van Helsing was using his rock salt bullets, which like, I don't even understand the rock salt bullets. Like, I can't even get into it. It, like, frustrates me so much. And then Van Helsing's like, wow, like, you're pretty strong. Like, the rock salt would, like, take out people for, like, a while. Like, even a grown man. And Jack's like, yeah, well, I was once the government's secret weapon. Huh? And then Van Helsing is like, oh, yeah, like, hidden strength. I didn't think anybody survived hidden strength. We're sitting there like, come on. Is there really a new secret thing that we have to now know about? Like, I've never heard about hidden strength in my life. And Van Helsing is like, no worries, girl. Like, let me explain. And I will explain to you as best I can. Basically, hidden strength was an initiative created by the government during the Vampire War. Okay, remember the Vampire War is where humans fought the vampires and won. Just kidding, it was bad. It was not a good thing. They like wiped out all the vampires. They used this hidden strength initiative the goal of it was to make humans be able to compete with the vampires because vampires are so much stronger physically than humans. And so to accomplish this, they conducted these like horrible experiments, like really like tortured people like physically and mentally in order to unlock their like hidden strength and like this like innate power that they had inside, and like somehow they were able to manipulate humans to be able to have like super strength basically through like mental torture. Sorry, it's not funny. But unfortunately these experiments were like so gnarly that they really messed them all up in the head, all the hidden strength people, and so they became evil. And the government was like, we cannot just send out these like evil soldiers into battle, like they'll kill the people on their own side too. So the government was like, you know what, Twilight, just kill them all. Yeah, I don't care anymore. Like, I know we spent a bunch of money on that hidden strength thing, but just like wipe them all out. Sorry to those men. And so all the hidden strength people were killed except for Jack the Ripper. He managed to escape, okay? And that is why he is so powerful and is able to withstand those terrible rock salt bullets, okay? And so we hear all this and we're like, wait, but like, that means like he's kind of like a fake human. Like we're a fake human. Like, maybe there's good in him. Like, we can change him. Van's like, girl, shut up. And we're like, Jack, like, why are you so evil? Like, why would you do this? And he's like, I feel like it. And so Van Helsing like starts roasting him. He's like, you suck, you're evil, like you are the true impure one. And Jack like goes crazy, like he did not like that. And he starts like throwing his scissors at people, like going wild. And Van Helsing just like kicks him in the stomach and he like falls on the ground. And then Van Helsing just starts like shooting him. Like he won't stop. He's just like raining down the bullets. These are still rock salt bullets, so don't worry. But Jack like keeps getting up. Like he's really powerful and he keeps like withstanding these bullets. But he's like, no, please, like it hurts me. Like stop, Van Helsing. And Van Helsing is like, this is not even a fraction of the pain that you were about to give Cardia. So I will not stop shooting you, you sicko. And Jack is like going crazy. He's like ranting, like he starts to like fully kind of lose his mind, like even more than he already had. He's like talking about like his mother. He's like recalling things from his past. It's like he's really like off his rocker right now. And we're like, oh my gosh, like what is going on right now? Like why is he losing it? And Van Helsing is like, well, the main way that they were able to extract hidden strength was by tapping into people's like traumatic memories from their past. And so like clearly Jax is associated with his mother, like his mother like abused him as a child. And that's why he's like targeting all these women. Like, I don't know. But that was the trauma they used to unlock his inner strength. And then Van Helsing is like, yeah. And so that fear like from their past is activated and it's kind of drawn out. So he's still experiencing that fear over and over. And so that's why these hidden strength people were so messed up, because they're basically like living in like an endless nightmare, like really dark. Yeah, really dark. But you know, Van doesn't care. There's one thing about this man, like he's gonna shoot his gun. So he keeps just like shooting and we're like, no, Van Helsing, stop it. Like that's enough. No more killing. And Van Helsing is like, girl, what the hell? Like if I don't kill this guy, he's gonna go to the streets of London and kill more women. Like you want that? And we're like, no, I don't want that. But like, you've killed a lot of people in your life, Van Helsing. Like, I think it's time to, like, stop. Like, you're clearly messed up from it. And, like, I don't want you to kill any more people. So, like, let's let the law punish him. Okay? Like, we don't need to be the ones. And Van Helsing, like, takes out a real bullet. And he puts it into his gun. He's like, girl, last time I ever listened to you. And we hear the gun go off. But he shot at the ceiling. He did listen to us. And he lets Jack live. Very kind of him. Okay? This is character growth. And we're like, thank you, Van Helsing, like, you're the best. And then suddenly we hear this, like, eerie music. Like, it's really creepy, like, music box vibes, almost. And Jack, like, takes off. He's like, oh my gosh, this is the guy who wanted you captured, the guy who rescued him previously. He's like, oh my gosh, he's here. And he, like, takes off down the hallway. And we're like, what? And we, like, follow Jack into this tiny little room. It's really scary. There's music playing. And on the wall, in like blood, the word Azoth is written. Okay? And we don't know anything about this Azoth. Like at this point, we've never heard this before. Okay? And then we hear this like announcement. It's like a recording starts playing along with this music. And the recording is like, congratulations on getting past the first round of my little game. But, you know, the fun is just beginning. Like, my name is Azoth, and I'm gonna be your playmate, Van Helsing. He's, like, talking to Van Helsing. So this was all a part of his plan, you know? Getting Jack to capture us. They knew Van Helsing would... No! So basically it was all just a ploy to, like, get Van Helsing there. Okay. By this Azoth person. So if you haven't made the connection, Azoth is the same person who freed Jack the Ripper and who wanted us captured in the first place, okay? Good. And the recording keeps going. And he's like, by the way, a bunch of this stuff is going to start happening in London, okay? People are just going to die every day, and you better put a stop to it, because it's just going to keep happening. And if you want us to put a stop to it, then all you have to do is hand over Cardia. Like, that's all you have to do, okay? It's easy. And Van Helsing is like visibly distraught by this. He's like, oh my gosh, if they want you, Cardia, that means that this must be Twilight. And that means that this must be Phineas. He is Azoth. That's what Van Helsing is saying. And the recording is like, can it, Van Helsing? You're gonna have to become a puppet just like you were back in the Vampire War. You're gonna have to do it again. And unless you want someone you love to die again. This tells us that in the past, during the Vampire War, someone Van Helsing loved was killed, okay? This really triggers him. He's like very upset by this. And that's all the recording has to say. It doesn't really give us many more details than that, which is interesting. And then we're about to like discuss it when we hear the sound of a ticking clock. And Van Helsing is suddenly, oh my gosh, girl, get down. And he like gets over us, protects us. And suddenly the whole tunnel blows up. Okay. Very intense. Azoth has bombed the place. And unfortunately, or I would say it's fortunate, Jack the Ripper was not able to escape. Van Helsing, you know, he used his like super strength to somehow protect us from the bombing, but Jack had no one to protect him. And despite the fact that he had super strength, you know, he did not survive the bombing. But we did, and that's all that matters. And that is the end of chapter 9. Okay, like, get ready. Don't say I didn't warn you, okay? It's insane. Okay, chapter 10. This is actually like a very long chapter. I feel like all of the Van Helsing chapters are very like lore heavy and a lot goes down. So strap in for this one. If you thought the last one was crazy, get ready. So basically, we have managed to escape the sewer tunnels that have been blown up by Jack the Ripper. And I guess when that blast happened, it attracted the attention of the Scotland Yard, the police. And so they kind of ran over and started kind of interrogating us about what happened and like trying to figure out all that we know. So they're like, okay, like you guys need to stay here. Like we need to ask you some questions about what just happened. And Van Helsing is like, sure, like I'm down. But like Cardia, like she's been through a lot today. Like she should rest. Like that's sweet of him. And we're like, no. Like, yes, we're tired. Yes, we're like literally shaking and have PTSD. But like we want to be helpful to this investigation, like we want to contribute. So we end up staying and like answering their questions. And then like Van Helsing sees us shaking and he's like, girl, like no, seriously, like if you need rest, like go home. And then he feels the need to throw in this like little snide comment where he's like, by the way, like it was just coincidence that I was the one who found you first. Like it could have been anyone in the group, and really like you shouldn't read too much into it or like put any like special meaning on the fact that I was the one to find you. Like it's not like I care about you or anything. Like, okay, like we don't need to hear that right now. We're literally shaking. Like try to be supportive, try to contribute. But like, of course, like we're ever the kind-hearted person. So we're like, oh, like Van, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that too. Like you also had to endure some trauma. And like Van Helsing, like I feel like every time you kill someone, like you just have this like look of pain in your eyes. Like we saw it with Phineas before when you were about to kill him. Like you just look really sad about it. Like I can tell, like we can tell you don't want to kill anyone. And then we're like, what happened like between you and Phineas? Like what like fuels this anger in your heart? And he opens his mouth to tell us. We're finally about to get the answers we seek, but we don't. Suddenly, Lenhart shows up. Yep. Old favorite Lenhart. And Lenhart is here to help support the police, the Scotland Yard, and the Royal Guard. And so Lenhart shows up and he's like, oh, thank you so much, guys, for taking care of Jack the Ripper. Like, really appreciate it. And then Van is like, Lenhart, like, what are you doing here? Like, this was a job for the police. Like, why is the Royal Guard here? Why are you here? And he's like, oh, you know, like just to help the police. Like, I thought they could use some help. And Van Helsing is like, don't even joke with us right now, Lenhart. Like, it's clear that you and Victoria are trying to hide the fact that Jack was a member of the Hidden Strength program, because if that got out to the public and they found out about what you guys did to all these people, like that would not go over well. And he's like, actually, like, no, like that's not even it. Like maybe that's part of it, but also like I'm super interested in finding this guy that Jack was talking about. So remember, Jack was working with some guy who helped him escape from prison and who wanted us captured. We know that now to be Azoth, the person who recorded that little like ominous recording at the end there. But Lenhard doesn't know any of that. He just knows that there was some guy who like helped Jack escape. And he says that actually this one guy is actually like a group of people, like an organization. So there's probably one guy in charge, but the whole like group, like Azoth, is like an organization of people. There's multiple people helping out. And Van Helsing is like, well, actually, dude, like we have a lot of information on that. Like we've discovered a lot about that guy. And, you know, like, I'll give it to you, but like, do me a favor. And I know that you're gonna keep investigating this, and I want to be updated on all of these investigations. So everything that happens, that you find out, I want it reported back to me. And Lenhard's like, okay, sure, like whatever. And so then we tell him everything. We tell him about Azoth, we tell him about the recording, and we tell him that Azoth is searching for someone. So like, remember how he was like, oh, like bring me Cardia and like all the suffering will end. We don't say that it's us specifically. We're like, oh, like, and he's looking for an individual. And then Lenhard is like, oh my gosh, we need to find this individual because like they could probably give us more information about Azoth. Like if we asked them, like that would be really helpful. And then we are like so stupid and we're like, oh, I don't think that'd be helpful. Like, I don't really know anything. And Van Helsing's like, girl, shut up. Like, read the room. We're trying to keep this a secret. But Lenhard like is kind of a silly little guy, and he like doesn't even think anything of it. So it's okay. Thank goodness, because we obviously don't know how to keep our mouth shut. So then he tells us that actually this Jack the Ripper incident was not the only kind of serious crime that's been going on. Actually, crime in Steel London has been on the rise. Like bad things are happening in the streets, and they're probably Azoth's doing. Like they're like serious, like violent crimes. And so Van Helsing is like, okay, we'll keep investigating. You keep investigating with the Royal Guard and the government, and we'll meet regularly and kind of discuss where we're at and work together on this investigation. And he's like, okay, cool. Like this is a great idea. Like we'll do this to save Britain and bring justice. And Van Helsing is like, nah, I actually don't care about justice. Like I only fight for myself. Like uncalled for, like drama queen. So after that little display, we part ways and we're finally able to head back to the mansion. And here's where we get the first of many like really emo moments for Van Helsing. Like it's painful to witness. It's like painful for me to even recount to you guys. So we're like on the way home and we're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much again, Van Helsing, for helping us. Like really, we really appreciate it. Like we probably would have died back there. And Van Helsing is like, stop thanking me. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, point taken. All right, didn't need to be so aggressive with it. We're still on the way home, and then we remember, like, the reason we ran away in the first place, which is that we were a burden to everyone. And so then we're like, actually, Van Helsing, like, we can't go back. Like, we don't want to be a burden to everyone, and, like, that's why we left in the first place. Like, we don't want to, like, make things difficult for everyone who's been so good to us. And then he's like, you know what? Like, the others can decide if you're more trouble than you're worth, but as for me personally, like, I need you close to me. What? Like, he just said a nice thing to us? Like, can this be true? And we're like, oh my gosh, like, has this moment finally come? Like, I was so excited. I was like, finally, we're getting somewhere in the relationship. And then he's like, yeah, I need you to help me find the secrets of Phineas. Like, of course I need you here. And we're like, be serious, Van Helsing. Like, you are so dear to us and to our heart. And we consider you friends. And like, clearly you don't feel the same way. And we just don't understand it. And he's like, girl, you think we're friends? He literally says that. He's like, I don't need friends. Actually, I am just using you to accomplish my own goals, to defeat Phineas. I don't care about you at all. Guys, like, all this time we were hating on Victor, and like, maybe Van was the real evil one all along. Like, he's handsome, but like, he's so mean. But maybe some of you guys like that. I don't know. And we're like, you know what? Whatever. Keep using us. That's fine. Like, we are just not deterred by this mean behavior. And we're like, you're still special to me. Regardless, you're special to me. And he don't care. He literally just like walks off and abandons us and like doesn't walk us home or go home. And like the last time we were left alone on the streets, like we got abducted. So like clearly he doesn't care that much. Never trust a man with glasses, like I'm telling you. So we're forced to make the long journey back to the mansion ourselves. And when we get to the gate, Deli is actually waiting outside. He was waiting for us, but he's not alone. He is accompanied by the lovely Cece. Oh, I can't even look at it. Like, why did they do this? Cece, if you'll recall, is the ugly dog that we found on the streets. And he's kind of like a friend to Deli. Like, Deli watches out for him, which is sweet. And we're like, oh my gosh, Deli, like, were you worried about us? Like, that's so sweet. And he was like, no, I wasn't. Like, Cece was worried. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so we like have a little small talk. We're like, thanks for being worried. Like, we're okay, don't worry. And then we're like, actually, Deli, like, can I ask you a question? Like, did Van Helsing really kill your whole family? Like, did you witness that, like, with your own eyes? And Deli's like, girl, we've been over this. Like, I saw him kill my father, and, like, I didn't actually see him kill my mother, but, like, I found her dead body, and Van Helsing was kind of, like, killing everybody else in the joint, so I just, like, kind of assumed it was him. And, like, I feel like that's a safe assumption to make. And then he's like, so, girl, like, I would just warn you, I would not get deeply involved with Van Helsing if I were you. Because clearly he's unhinged, he's a killer, and also I am going to kill him in the future. Like, that was the arrangement they made, that Deli's going to kill him. And so then he's like, I don't really think, like, you should be getting close to that. Because when I kill Van Helsing, I don't want to see you upset about it. Like, isn't that sweet? He's, like, thinking of us. He's like, I really just don't want you to be sad when I end up killing Van Helsing. So he's the only thoughtful one here. More thoughtful than some people who are completely thoughtless. Anyway, we finally get back inside the mansion and everyone's back. So all of the old favorites are in the house. Lupin's back. Impy's back. Guys, don't you miss Impy right now? I told you you would. I told you you would. And so Impy is like in tears. He's like, we missed you so much. We were so worried about you. Victor's like, hey, good to see you. Like, what's up? No, I'm just kidding. He like put in a little more effort than that. A little more. And then Lupin, he's the only one who doesn't really like coddle us in the group. And he's like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like, you just abandoned all of us. We had no idea where you were. Like, we were so worried. Honestly, you caused more trouble by leaving than you would by staying. And so, like, you know, he gives us a good, like, reprimanding, like, which we need, because that was kind of a crazy decision that we made. But then he's like, he, like, brings it home in the end. And he's like, no, girl, like, you belong here and nowhere else. Please don't run off again. And we're like, okay, we'll stay. Thank you, Lupin, for caring about us. And they're like, where's Van Helsing? Like, we thought he was with you. And we're like, I don't know. He walked off and abandoned us. Like, he could be anywhere. And then we decide to give them the lowdown. We tell them about Azoth and Jack and all the insane stuff that we've just been through. And Victor, he's like, oh, Azoth, like that's a word that every alchemist knows. And we're like, what? And he's like, Azoth is another name for Mercury. And it's also another name for the Philosopher's Stone. Do you guys remember the Philosopher's Stone? The Horologium was created in an attempt to create the Philosopher's Stone. So the hope of the Horologium is that someday it will be able to transform into the Philosopher's Stone. That's Isaac. Oh wait, I gotta bring out Isaac. So Papa Isaac's like number one goal is to create the Philosopher's Stone, okay? And that's kind of like what Phineas is working towards. That's why this was created in the first place. That's why we were created in the first place. So it's important. Philosopher's Stone is very important. It goes on the top because he is the star. And then, you know, Saint Germain kind of chimes in and he's like, oh yeah, like actually Azoth, he like starts like analyzing the linguistics of it and he's like, yeah, like it can actually mean beginnings and endings. So like it's very ominous, this name that this person has chosen for themselves. And we are like, yeah, well, Van Helsing actually thinks that Azoth is Phineas, because it's clear that Azoth is related to Twilight somehow and they want us captured. So like it's probably Phineas. And then we're like, I just don't know why Van Helsing hates Phineas so much. And like, he won't tell us. So like, we're really confused about that. And Victor is like, well, like, girl, he was in Twilight, which Phineas is in charge of Twilight. So that means like during the Vampire War, like Phineas was probably giving Van Helsing orders and like probably ordered him to kill all those people. So like, that's probably part of it. And we're like, oh, never thought about that. That's crazy. And then we all just have dinner without Van Helsing, who just like never came home. He's like out on the streets somewhere. What can you do? What can you do? At least we're with Impy. That's for sure. So then there's like a small little interlude where we cut to a nobleman, like some random noble running through the forest, and he's like being chased by some sort of creature, and he's like really traumatized. He's like thinking about how this creature has just like killed his whole family. And he's like running through the woods, and he like tries to shoot at it and he misses, and then he ends up like being killed by this creature. That's just a random little slice of life for you there. And then, we cut back to us, and we wake up in our room and we're chipper as a beaver and happy to be alive. And when we head to breakfast, guess who's back? Van Helsing is back, and he is still in like a terrible mood and being mean to everyone. So good morning to you too, Van Helsing. And he's like, oh, good morning. Or we're like, good morning. And he's like, Azoth has acted again. He doesn't even have time to say good morning to us or any pleasantries of that sort. He's a busy man, I guess. And so he like starts giving us the lowdown on this latest attack. Apparently there is this noble named Viscount Brandel, I think it was. It's not important. And his whole mansion was attacked. His whole family was mauled to death by like some bear-like the wounds looked like a bear like mauled them. It was like very violent. And he managed to escape the mansion, but he was then killed in the forest and like leaned up against a tree, and on the tree somebody wrote Azoth in blood. Is this the game you were expecting when you clicked on this romance game video? Because I wasn't expecting it. And so Van Helsing is like, well, I'm going to the crime scene to learn more. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going. And then we're all like, let's all go road trip. Like, this is so exciting. And then Deli is like, actually, I'm going to come too. Like, just from what you've said, this description of the case, like, it's kind of ringing a bell for me. Like, I'm kind of like intrigued by it. So I'm going to come too. So that's interesting because Deli like never tags along. So something to keep in mind. And so we all head to the scene. And when we get there, there are officers blocking off the mansion. Van Helsing comes over and he's like, let me in. It's me, Van Helsing, the human weapon, Brighton's finest. And they're like, dude, we do not care. Like, literally 5 seconds ago, some reporter said she was Queen Victoria. Like, get out of here, get lost. But luckily, Lenhart shows up and he's like, oh my gosh, Van Helsing, good to see you, man. Like, how you been? And then his happy mood is ruined because he sees Lupin. And if you will recall, Lupin and Lenhart are like mortal enemies. And Lenhart's like, I'm gonna arrest you. Like, stop in the name of the law. And Lupin's like, sorry, dude, like Queen Victoria gave us her like protection. If you remember way back when there was that whole thing with Victor and the airship and Queen Victoria and like him threatening to bomb a bunch of innocent civilians. Anyway, we're now under protection of the government. And so Lenhart is like, oh yeah, you're right. I guess I can't arrest you next time. And he's like, come on in, guys, come on in. These people are all welcome here. All experienced detectives, this unruly group. Let them through the doors. And then Van Helsing is like, not all of us. This is a gory scene, and Cardia, I don't think you should be going in there. We can't have you like making a scene, throwing up, being disturbed by it. Like, you're just gonna get in everyone's way. Just like catching stray after stray from this guy. Like, he's a menace. And then he's like, maybe Deli, like you should stay behind too. Like, it's not really the place for a child. And Deli is like, well, actually, I had to bury my whole family by myself that you killed. So like, I think I can handle it. And Van Helsing is like, okay, like that's fair, like you go. So they all go into the house and leave us alone in the woods. What is wrong with these people? Genuinely, like I'm wondering. So we are like moping around the forest and we're like, okay, like we'll try to look through the dirt. Like maybe there's something helpful we can do like to investigate out here. And we end up finding the tree that the guy died next to with the word Azoth written on it. Like very scary. And at that moment, everyone shows back up. Thankfully. So I guess like some time has passed. And Van Helsing is like, oh, that's so interesting. Like this Azoth message is written in different handwriting than the one in the sewers was. And this tells us that Azoth, the person committing these crimes and like writing the Azoth, are different people. So in reality, there's like this one guy, the head guy, Azoth, has probably like a bunch of minions and like other people doing his bidding for him and like committing the crimes. So like he's not actually the one physically going out there and like murdering people, which like we kind of already saw with Jack. And so that means that this killer is like a separate entity, but still like affiliated with Azoth. So like Azoth is probably telling this dude what to do. So then everyone's like, okay, let's investigate some more outside. I love that these guys are like a part of this. Like they literally have no stake in this, but they're just here out of the goodness of their heart. But Van Helsing is like, actually, I gotta go. Like there's somebody that I want to speak to. I want to go to somebody's house. And we're like, welcome to, like, we would love to accompany you, Van Helsing. Like, please love us. And he's like, okay, sure. And Deli decides to come too. So happy family, mother, father, and son. We're all on our way. And on the way there, we find out that the house we're going to belongs to the beautiful Herlock Sholmes. Oh my goodness. Guys, I just played the third game, the second installment of Sholmes' route. It's quite good. I can't even lie. Purchase, code realize, Wintertide Miracles, now on Nintendo Switch. Order today. So we're on our way to Sholmes' house when suddenly Deli and Van Helsing, you know, they both have like superhuman senses and they sense someone following us. So like without warning, they like grab our hand and like take off down this alleyway to get away from whoever is following us. Of course, like we have no idea. We're just like along for the ride. And then like the person approaches us and Van Helsing like pulls out his gun. He's like, what's going on? But then he sees the pursuer, and we actually know this pursuer. We know him quite well. Wait, I literally lost him. Oh no, I didn't. I wish I did. I hate him. It's Alistair! Remember Alistair from the train heist back in the common route? Alistair is the right-hand man of Twilight. He's like Phineas's like number 2 in command. He was like being very aggressive on the train and like threatening to kill us, and like I don't know, like he just didn't seem like a great guy. But he did seem like there was some tension between him and Phineas. So maybe like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't know. We kind of don't know where we stand with this guy. But as of now, like we think he's an enemy. See, I saved a spot for him because he's important. Okay? And so we're like we're like, oh my gosh, Alistair, like, Van, like, get out the rock salt. Like, this guy's sketch. And Van Helsing was like, no. Calm down. Like, this guy's my friend. Like, we're pals. Like, don't even worry about it. And we're like, but you don't have friends. Like, what are you even talking about? Like 5 seconds ago, you'd be like, I don't need friends. But apparently he does need friends, and he has one. And it's this nasty old man. And so then Alistair is like, hey, my name's Jimmy A. Alistair. Like, how are you doing? I'm one of the higher ups at Twilight. Like, you know me. Good to see you again. And like, by the way, sorry, I was like super rude to you on the train and like threatening you. I just like had to do that because Phineas was there, you know, and like Phineas doesn't know that I'm tight with Van Helsing. So we kind of had to like play it up for show. Like, sorry. And we're so confused. We're like, what are you even talking about? Like, you're friends with Van Helsing? Because on the train, like, you were like threatening to kill him and like being very, very insane. Like, we actually were in danger on that train. So I don't know like what you're talking about right now. And he's like, no. Like, I actually was like trying to help you. Like, I was trying to help you escape. And we like don't believe this at all. We're like, there's definitely something off about this guy. Like, just look at him. Look at that like mischievous glint in his eye. Like, that's an evil man. And he's like, well, you're just gonna have to believe me, aren't you? Like, nothing I can say is like gonna get through to you, clearly. And like, honestly, like, I feel like, girl, you should be thanking me because like I basically saved your life on that train. If I weren't there, like Phineas like would have gone crazy. Like, you probably would have died, which like doesn't even make sense because like Phineas needs us alive for his plan. That's why like he keeps wanting us captured instead of killed. So like, I don't know what this guy is saying. He's like, yeah, like I couldn't help myself from wanting to save your life. Like, that's how kind I am. Because I saw that you're friends with my former student. And we're like, what? Former student? And Van Helsing is like, oh yeah, like he was my professor back in university. Like, okay, I guess Van Helsing went to university. Like, that's news to me and to everyone here. And Deli's like, okay, actually, like, whatever, and I don't care about any of this. And like, what are you doing here, Alistair? Like, stop chatting. Like, thank you. Finally someone with sense. And Alistair's like, okay, like, basically I just had some news for you guys. The Phineas that you killed in the lab, or that Saint Germain killed, that was not the real Phineas. That was a body double. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, like, that's basically how Phineas achieves this immortality, is like he has body doubles. So like the true Phineas, wherever he is like not dead. he's still alive, which we kind of knew, but I guess now the new information is that like he has these body doubles, I guess, that are super realistic. But apparently Phineas is dead publicly. So like the people of Britain, Queen Victoria, everyone thinks Phineas is dead. So he's kind of like laying low right now behind the scenes because he can't really go out and be like, hey guys, like he has to maintain that he's dead in the eyes of Britain. And so Van tells Alistair all about Azoth and everything. I guess these two just tell each other everything. Like, okay. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't know anything about that. I never heard of that. Like, who's Azoth? Like, that's weird. Do you guys think he doesn't know anything about that? Sorry, maybe that's a spoiler. Pretend you didn't hear that. And he's like, yeah, whatever. But also, like, now that Phineas is, like, kind of laying low, I basically have control of Twilight because he's kind of had to, like, take a step back from his Twilight leader duties. And so you can consider Twilight an ally to you now. Like, Cardia, like, they're not after you anymore. Like, we're actually, like, not a threat to you guys. And, like, don't even worry about Twilight anymore. Like, I got them under control. And then he's like, Van Helsing, like, your lucky day is coming soon. Because, like, soon Phineas is going to be able to be killed. Like, just a little bit longer and, like, your task is going to be accomplished. And Van's, like, stoked about this. He doesn't really go into any specifics, like, how this is going to be achieved, but Van just takes it as his word, I guess. And then, like, Alistair just leaves. So, like, that was really a weird interaction. He just came to, like, bro out with Van Helsing, I guess, and, like, tell us some useless information and then leave. So, interesting, cool, I guess. Love to see him and his ugly face. But we actually leave this encounter, like, very happy. And Van Helsing is like, girl, why are you happy suddenly? Like, nothing to smile about in my life. And we're like, because Van Helsing, like, you do have a friend after all. Like, Alistair is your friend. And, like, that's so lovely to see that, like, you are capable of having friends. And also Van Helsing, like, I hope, like, you can see us as a friend someday. Like, we just, like, we want to be his friend. And he's like, okay. Keep dreaming, sister. So anyway, we keep walking and we arrive at Sholmes's house and he actually, like, we're walking up the steps and he, like, opens the door before we even knock on it. And he's like, oh, hey, I thought you guys might be coming soon. My calculations were correct. Oh, classic Sholmes. And so he, like, welcomes us into his beautiful little parlor and he's like, oh, so, like, you guys are here about Azoth, right? We're like, oh, that Sholmes, he just knows everything. Yes, we are here about Azoth. And Van is like, yeah, we actually really could use your help on this case. Like, Lenhart's an idiot and, like, we're not really getting anywhere. And Sholmes is like, oh, for sure. But, like, by the way, like, I'm not cheap. Like, I'm the best detective in London. Like, you're gonna have to, like, fork over some cash. And Van is like, no problem, no problem. Like, Lupin will be footing the bill, which is kind of cute because Lupin hates Sholmes, if you recall. And so Sholmes, he's clearly been doing his own investigation on this case, and he pulls out this list. And he's like, okay, this is a top secret list. Like, this came straight from the government, from, like, a friend I have in the government. And it is a list of all of the people who received commendations from the government after the Vampire War. Okay, so this list is all, like, war heroes. Remember, Van Helsing is one of these people who, like, received honors from Queen Victoria for, like, however, like, killing a bunch of vampires and, like, being terrible people. That's what this list is. And then Sholmes says that the killer who just killed Viscount Brandel is, like, killing people off on this list one by one in order. So, like, Viscount Brandel is on the list. Like, he's killing off nobles who were, like, horrible to vampires during the war. And then he's like, so the next noble on the list, once he's killed, Van Helsing, like, you're next. So, like, in, like, a few weeks, like, you're gonna be the next target, which is scary. And Van is like, okay, sure, like, that's fine. But this list is, like, top secret. Like, how could a random killer get a hold of it? And Sholmes is like, well, that leads me to believe that Azoth is affiliated with the government. Which kind of goes back to what we already thought, because we thought he was a part of Twilight. We thought he was Phineas, who would have access to government information. And so Van is like, yeah, like, we already know that. Like, it's Phineas. Like, he knew things about me that only Phineas would know. Remember when he was saying, like, oh, Van, like, you're gonna have to kill someone dear to you is gonna die, just like they did in the war. Like, apparently that's something only Phineas would know. And Sholmes is like, okay. okay, like interesting theory. Like he doesn't seem fully convinced, but he's like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And also you guys should keep in mind that this killer seems to be working 2 nights in a row every week. And so that means that the next person on this list is gonna die tonight. And then he also tells us that it is a vampire doing this killing. And we're really surprised by this. But Van and Deli don't even bat an eyelash, because that is what attracted Deli to this case. He knew the work of a vampire because he is one. And so they already knew that the killer of these people, of these nobles, is a vampire, which makes sense. Like, it's kind of intuitive, but big reveal. So we all head back to the mansion and kind of discuss our next steps. They've already planted like royal guard and police people outside of the home of this next victim, who is a nobleman named Mauchley. I don't know if that's how you say it, Mauchley. And so Mauchley's house is like being like protected by guards because he's like probably gonna die tonight. Sorry to that man. And Van Helsing is like, well, I'm gonna go there. Like those guards suck compared to me, Abraham Van Helsing, the human weapon. So I'm gonna go. And we're like, well, we'll go with you, of course. And then of course we can't go anywhere without the whole gang being like, yeah, let's all go. Another road trip. And hopefully no one dies. And Victor is like, wait a second though. Like there's a bunch of guards. Like, isn't that gonna deter the killer? Like, how's he gonna get through all those guards? And Deli is like, actually, like, I know exactly which vampire this is. And like, those guards are only gonna encourage him more because it's more people he can kill. We're like, what? Like, you know the killer? You could have mentioned that like 2 hours ago. And he's like, yeah. It's this dude called, guys, this name, like, I don't know how to say it for the life of me. Neuntote? No, cut that out. Okay, Google says neuntote. This guy's name is Neuntote, and he's like this master of battle. Deli is like, yeah, this guy like used to work with my dad. He's like a really experienced killer. Like, we don't really stand a chance, honestly. But Deli is like, actually, guys, like, I'll come too to the crime scene, or soon to be crime scene, and I'll convince him. Like, I know him, and as the vampire leader, like, I can probably talk some sense into him and be like, okay, like, chill out. Everything's fine, like, don't worry. And Van Helsing is like, that's actually such a stupid idea. Like, if he sees you working with humans, he's just gonna be even more, he's gonna hate you. And like, he's gonna come after you next. And like, I don't want you slowing us down, Deli. I really don't. Now he's like taking shots at Deli. Like, that's where I draw the line, okay? Rein it in. Anyway, we then cut to Mauchley at his house, the latest soon-to-be victim of neuntote. And he's like, he just seems like the biggest jerk in the world. Like, you want this guy to die. He's like ranting to Lenhart. He's like, get these guards out of here because I have my own bodyguards and like, I don't need you. I don't need any of you people. Also, I was a hero in the vampire war, so like, I don't need your help. And it's revealed that Mauchley was just some like crazy dude who heard that vampire blood like caused eternal youth. And so he would just randomly go out and like kill vampires and like drain their blood to like stay young. Like, really like disgusting. Like, I say kill the guy, honestly. Like, I don't know why we need to go to all this lengths to protect him. While Mauchley's like being a diva and like ranting, Neuntote shows up and he's like screaming. Like, he's going wild. He keeps like ranting about like how all his friends died, how all his people have been like slaughtered. Like, it's very intense. He's clearly like a little disturbed. And he just starts like killing the bodyguards. He starts killing the guards. Luckily, Lupin and Victor show up in the streets and do what they do best, which is throwing a test tube onto the floor and releasing a bunch of smoke. And unfortunately, that insane attack doesn't stop Neuntote. I know. You would think like some smoke would really like shut him down, but nope, he just runs right through it. Strike one, and I'm blaming it on Victor. Although the smoke did have a positive effect, I guess. I have to give Victor credit that Mauchley was able to escape from Neuntote in the smoke. So Mauchley's like taking off down the streets and Neuntote runs after him. And he follows Mauchley into an alley, but who's in the alley but Impy! And Impy like tries to stop him, but unfortunately Neuntote is able to defeat him and like tosses him aside. But Neuntote does remark that the like strength he used to like toss Impy aside would have like killed a human, and Impy is like still up and kicking. And if you'll remember from Taking the Flight of Love with Impy Barbicane, Impy is a vampire himself. So fun little call out to that secret. And then SG also shows up in the alley, and he's like looking all mysterious, like with his little knife. He's like, hello, neuntote. And neuntote is like, okay, actually, like this guy could probably like do some damage, so I'm not even gonna mess with that. And he just like runs away from Saint Germain. Saint Germain's like, well, okay, see ya. And so then neuntote follows Machli all the way to the bank of the Thames River, okay? And who is at the bank of the Thames River but Van and us, okay? We're waiting there. And the moment neuntote gets there and lays eyes on Van, he's like, oh, the worst human of all is here. The devil, he's raging. It's scary. And so Van like pulls out his gun. He's like, I'm gonna have to do some serious fighting here. And he's like, Cardia, take Machli into the sewers and he can escape that way. And so we do. We rescue Machli. Like, who even cares? Like, I wish he was dead. And we take him to the sewers, and he's like in there like bitching about how he now has to go through the sewers. Like, and then we actually have a good moment here. We're like, okay, then die. Like, then don't do it and go out there and like get killed. Like, thank you, girl. Like, stand up. Somebody has to tell it like it is. But then like he does like pull it together and he runs off through the sewers. And we're about to follow him to make sure that he gets to safety when suddenly we hear Van Helsing like shouting like in pain. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we need to help him. So we run back up to the river to help in the fight. And when we go back, we see that Van is like really wounded. Like he's taken some serious hits, and like we know it would take a really strong person to do that to Van. And so this neuntote must be like a crazy guy, like really strong. And neuntote is like rambling, like still going wild. And we kind of were like, oh, we've seen this before. And Van is like, yes, clearly neuntote has been subjected to hidden strength. So we know now that Azoth is capable of doing these hidden strength experiments because, you know, like they weren't performed on vampires back in the day. And like we know Jack was the only survivor of that initial group of hidden strength people. So that means that Azoth is the one doing this now. And like a vampire and hidden strength, like this guy's gonna be like pretty unstoppable. And so neuntote starts like beating up Van, like going wild, and he like starts to advance on him, like about to like deal like a really serious blow. And then we stand in front of Van, like to protect him. And not only that, we take off our glove and like hold up our bare hand. Like we're gonna melt this guy's face off. And Van is actually like really worried. He's like, no, girl, like you're gonna die if you do this. Like I'm serious. And we're like, no, we have had people close to us die before. If you guys remember Elaine and Eddie, that's who we're referencing. And we're not about to have that happen again. We're really not. And so we're like, we're keeping it together. We're trying to be strong. Our hands out, like we're about to attack him. Like he's coming closer. And then Deli rushes in to save the day. And the minute neuntote sees Deli, he kind of like snaps out of his hidden strength trance. He's like, oh my gosh, Delacroix, like, what are you doing here? And Deli's like, listen to me, neuntote. Like, you do not have to do this. I know you're like messed up in the head, but like, I know like there are some good humans and like we can find a way towards reconciliation without like killing them all. Okay, like you don't have to do this. Like this isn't you. Like please. And neuntote hates this. He's like, you are like basically a traitor now, and I'm gonna kill you. And he like tries to hit him, and then Deli blocks it. And neuntote just like can't wrap his head around this. And he's like, why don't you hate the humans, Deli? Like you should hate them most of all. Like they killed your whole family. And Deli's like, he starts to say something. He's like, I understand how you feel, but, and like starts to share, like probably, I assume to say like that he now cares about some humans. Like clearly he cares about us. But he is interrupted because neuntote like really like attacks him and like really hurts him. Like Deli's like down for the count. And neuntote's really losing it now. He's like about to attack him again. And suddenly Van steps in front of Deli. Like really sweet. Like I think he's redeemed himself a little bit in this moment for the mean things he said to Deli earlier. So I accept his apology. And he points his gun at neuntote and he's like, I'm the one you want. It's me. It's me. And so while he's doing this, we run to Deli's side to survey the damage. He's clearly hurt, but like he's gonna be okay. And neuntote charges at Van Helsing, and it's a really like, he's really close to Van, so like Van doesn't have much time to dodge or shoot or anything. But suddenly he like lowers his gun and in the same beat sets off an explosive at exactly the right moment. So it like takes neuntote out. Like a really insane attack. And we are like, whoa, that was actually insane. Like that, the way he was able to switch out the gun and the explosive and like hit that timing was of a manner that is like not human, like not normal. And we feel like we've almost seen that kind of like super agility and super strength before. And we kind of saw it with Jack the Ripper and neuntote. And what did those two have in common? Think about that one. Think really hard about it, because you may find out later. And so this finally takes out neuntote, and he's lying on the floor, like dying. And in this moment, like he kind of returns to his original self, like the hidden strength stupor kind of like leaves him. And he's like, well, I hope you go to hell, Van Helsing. And Van Helsing's like, yep, I think I am going there. And hopefully I'll see you there. And Deli is like, no, neuntote, please, like, come with me. Like, I need your help rebuilding and finding the surviving vampires. Like, I could really use you helping me out. And then, like, neuntote goes crazy again and starts to, like, attack. Somehow he has some strength left. And with one hand, he reaches out to attack Deli, but Van steps in front again and blocks the blow. And this is, like, a major hit to Van Helsing. Like, this... Van Helsing's taken out. He can't fight anymore. He was already like hanging on by a thread, but this one like did him in. And with neuntote's other hand, he stabs it through his own chest and like kills himself. So it's really dark, and that is the end of neuntote. Like, he was kind of hot. Like, I'm a little disappointed. I should have printed him out. Like, rest in peace to a king. Anyway, now that the battle is done, we cut to a beautiful CG. Guys, it's actually really good. It's Van Helsing lying in bed, and he's like all bandaged, and the golden morning sunrise is casting him in an angelic glow, and he has his glasses off. Like, he looks really charming. It's a really good CG. And we learn that Victor worked his medical magic, and Van is gonna be fine. We're all back at the mansion, and he's resting up. And we have been waiting by his side until he wakes up, because we're really worried about him. And also we just want to get a look at that handsome face. Like, who wouldn't? And suddenly he opens his eyes, he wakes up, and we're like, Van, like, good news, you're gonna be fine, handsome. Like, we're so glad you're alive. Like, really, we were really worried about you. And he's like, why do you even care? Why do you even care about me? You should just care about yourself. Like, no one should ever care about me. And we're like, oh, no, actually, we care about you more than we even care about ourselves. Like, okay, that's a little extreme, but that's what we say. And then Van is like, you know what, actually, I do kind of understand how you feel, because when you stepped in front of me back there, I think I felt that feeling. Like, I was terrified. Honestly, I am really happy that you're still alive too. And don't ever do that again, but thank you. Like, I really appreciated it. And then he smiles. This is, I think, the first time we've ever seen Van Helsing smile, and we, like, were over the moon. We can't believe this. Like, this is the best thing we've ever seen in our lives. And we're about to, like, I think we're about to, like, confess our love. Like, just one smile and we're done. Like, that's all we needed to see. And we're about to admit it when suddenly Deli comes in. So I'll forgive him. Like, you know, we're in the moment, but that's okay. And he's like really going through it. He's like, Van Helsing, why did you save me back there? Like, not even once, but twice. Like, I am gonna kill you one day. Like, don't you remember that? Like, we made that deal, we made that promise. Honestly, Van Helsing, like, what I really want to know is why you killed my family, because you clearly have kindness in your heart. You clearly, like, want to help and save people. And I just don't understand why you would do it. And Van Helsing is like, well, if I had a good reason to do it, would that make it all right? And Deli, like, doesn't even know what to say to that. And he's like, no, it wouldn't. Van is like, I had a good reason, and it doesn't make it okay. Nothing I can say will ever make that okay. Like, I am a horrible person. And Deli, like, doesn't even know what to say to that. Like, that probably really threw him for a loop, honestly, because I don't think he ever, like, anticipated that maybe Van had his own reasons for killing his family, and we didn't know that either. Like, this is news to us. And so then Deli just kind of leaves, and Van Helsing looks so hopeless and like depressed, and we're like, Van, like, do you want to die? Like, that's kind of the vibe we're getting. Like, you just really don't seem invested at all. And if you'll recall, like, we would know that feeling better than anyone, because when we first were saved by Lupin, like, we really did not care if we lived or died. So, like, we understand. And Van just doesn't respond. He just kind of looks off into the distance, and that's the end of that. And before the chapter ends, we cut to another little side scene. And it's someone, you know how Steel London has those huge outer walls? around the outside, which we know have guns in them, thanks to Impey's route. That's like how Steel London is protected and why Britain is like the strongest nation, because of these walls. And someone's like on the prowl on these walls, like walking around surveying Steel London. And then it says, he's like ranting about how this is the city his father built. So we know that this person is Phineas, even if it doesn't say it. And Phineas, he kind of brings up Azoth, and he talks about Azoth as if it's another person. And so this is where it's kind of revealed that Phineas is not Azoth, it's somebody else. But Phineas is like going along with it. He's like, yeah, I'm actually stoked to see like what Azoth is gonna do, because he's gonna bring chaos and fear to this city, and like those are my two favorite words. So I'm actually hyped. Like, I'm just gonna go with the flow and let him do what he wants. Like, sounds fun to me. Then of course, in classic Phineas fashion, he's like laughing like a maniac, his crazy villainous laugh, and he's like, I'll play along with this little game, Azoth. But he doesn't say Azoth, he just like is talking about him. The way this scene is structured is like, it's not telling us like a lot of details, but we're just kind of like hearing it from Phineas's perspective, and he is like talking about him like as he knows who Azoth is. So basically the takeaway from this scene, Azoth is not Phineas. Phineas knows who Azoth is, and he's just gonna let Azoth do what he wants and go crazy. And he is just along for the ride. That is the end of chapter 10. I need a big glass of water. Chapter 11. This is a short one. Your lucky day. My lucky day when typing out the notes, I can tell you that much. So we open, it's been a few days since the neuntote incident. Good times, good times. Van has been like out and about on the city streets. We haven't seen him in a while, and he's like still recovering from his injuries. So I don't really know why he is like out prowling the streets, but what can you do? To each their own. And we're all at breakfast, except for Van, clearly. And we're like moping, we're like really upset. We're like, I hope Van is okay. I don't know, like I'm worried about him. And SG's like, yeah, no worries. Like he's probably out with Alistair hunting for Azoth. Like I know they're tight, right? And he's like, yeah, like they're probably out looking for Phineas. Which makes sense because crime like continues to be on the rise. There's been a bunch more Azoth incidents. Like it's not looking good. Apparently at the end of each Azoth incident, the perpetrator will like kill themselves every single time. So we haven't gotten any really good information on who Azoth is because there's no one like left alive to tell the tale. But SG tells us that the government has gotten involved. Vicky Q has created a task force to help put a stop to Azoth, and she has put Lenhart in charge. Interesting decision on her part. And like apparently no one in London is going out at night anymore. Like it's Gotham City. Like people are dying left and right. Very intense. And so we're all kind of like just debriefing, getting this update when Van Helsing waltzes in, and he's not in a good mood as per usual. And we're like, oh my gosh, Van Helsing, are you okay? Like how are you doing? Where have you been? Like tell us everything. And he's like, why are you being dramatic? Why are you being dramatic, woman? Just kidding, he doesn't say that. And he's like, I'm fine. Obviously I'm fine. Like I was just out and about every day and I'm still alive. And Lupin is like, well, like, please tell us where you're going next time. Like you're a member of this team, you're staying in our house. Like we'd like to know that you're okay. And Van is like, why should I waste my time doing that? I don't want to do that. And Lupin like gets heated at this. He's like, I don't like your tone, young man. And they kind of like start to like face off. And Victor is like, whoa, guys, don't fight. Please, this isn't you. Like, please don't fight. And then Deli is like, okay, Van Helsing, like since you're in this like business only mood, like please tell us what's the latest on Azoth. Like I am now really invested because of what happened to neuntote, and I'm going to avenge him and kill Azoth. And Van is like, well, that's actually why I came back. I'm just here to tell all you guys that I don't want you investigating on this anymore. And we're like, what? Like, this is such a departure from where we were a day ago when we were all working together. And he's like, yeah, back off. Like, I'm going to handle this myself. You guys, like, I don't want you involved anymore. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Alistair shows up and is like, yeah, what he said. Like, who let this freak into the family home? Like, get this guy out of here. And we're all like super wary of this guy. We're like, what are you doing in here? SG's like, you better watch yourself. Like, I don't like you being in my house. And if you step one toe out of line, like, I'm going to kill you. And Alistair's like, yeah, no worries. Like, I'm just here with some updates. Like, you guys wanted updates. Let me tell you. The other day, like, randomly 3/4 of Twilight's, soldiers just like disappeared one day. Like, isn't that crazy? We're like, what the hell are you even talking about? And he's like, yeah. And like, honestly, like there's only one other person I can think of that could mobilize Twilight like that. And his name is Finis, Phineas. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, Phineas has gotta be Azoth. Don't you guys think? Like, don't you guys think Phineas is Azoth? And Lupin is like, whoa, old man, like, I don't know about that. Like, let's not jump to conclusions. Like, we don't really have hard evidence of that. Alistair's like, oh, Lupin. Hey, like, by the way, Lupin, like, he totally changes the subject, like, very suspicious. And he's like, hey, like, where'd you learn all your skills, Lupin? Like, you're just so skilled. And honestly, like, sometimes your skills, they kind of remind me of, like, Twilight skills. And Lupin, like, totally evades this question. He's like, well, I mean, we're both highly skilled, and we're both, like, we're both trying to be efficient and the best we can be. Like, makes sense our techniques would be similar. So, weird. He's being very cagey about where he learned his skills from. Keep that one in mind. And Van Helsing is like, okay, regardless of all that, now that we know that, like, Phineas is in charge, like, it's gonna be super dangerous, and I just don't want you guys involved. Okay? So we're like, oh, okay, like, maybe he's looking out for us, right? And we're like, no, Van Helsing, we don't want him out of our sight. This guy's unstable, and, like, we need to keep a watchful eye on him, clearly, and also we love him, and, like, don't want to be separated from him, of course. He's like, actually, okay, let me rephrase what I just said. All of you are holding me back. And you are the problem, and I don't want you doing that anymore. Alistair is like, whoa, like, this is kind of awkward, guys. Like, this seems, like, kind of personal. Like, I'm just gonna, like, step out. And Van is like, I'm coming with you. Like, I've said what I need to say. And just, they leave. Like, so rude. And we, like, chase them outside. Like, we're not gonna put up with this behavior. Like, he can't treat us this way. And we're like, please stop. Like, please, like, can we talk about this, Van Helsing? And Van's like, no. And it literally takes Alistair. Alistair has to be like, Van, can you, like, hear her out? Like, she looks very concerned for you, and, like, you're being kind of an asshole. Like, can you listen to her for 5 seconds? And then he's like, okay, I guess. Like, you listen to him and not us? Like, are you out of your mind? And, like, Alistair kind of steps away to let us have our moment. And we are like, Van, like, we're doing this out of concern for you. We don't want to see you suffer anymore. Like, you're killing all these people. You're, like, consumed with this desire for revenge. And it's turning you into, like, an awful person that nobody wants to be around. Like, we just don't want to see you suffer. And he's like, who says I'm suffering? And, like, why do you even care? Stop thinking about me. It's none of your business. And back off, sister. Crazy. And, like, we're about to, like, you know, really get into it. Really, like, put this man in his place. But suddenly, Lenhart pulls up, and he's looking, like, very distressed. He's like, get the gang together. We need to discuss. Something terrible has happened. So we all go back inside. And thankfully, Van goes too. Alistair doesn't. We got rid of him. Thank goodness. And Lenhart tells us that the palace was just attacked by a bunch of soldiers. And these soldiers were, like, going wild and, like, just attacking people out of nowhere. And they had, like, superhuman strength. And Van is like, oh yeah, like, hidden strength. This is an Azoth incident. And Lenhart is like, yeah, it was an Azoth incident. They all, like, killed themselves after. And they were carrying this metal box that said Azoth on the outside. And inside there was this letter, like this manifesto from Azoth. And Saint Germain, he gives it to Saint Germain to read. And it's basically like, I am going to destroy everything. I want chaos. And you are all gonna die. Death is on his way to each of you. And now we're gonna play a little game. Like, it's very, like, jigsaw. Like, I don't even know. Like, this guy's on a power trip, clearly. And, like, that's how you know it's not Phineas. Like, Phineas would never stoop to such a ridiculous level. But apparently, Lenhart is like, oh yeah, and before they all died, they shouted out, long live Master Phineas. Like, can you be any more obvious, honestly? Like, it's kind of, like, getting embarrassing. And so we're like, okay, we actually all need to investigate. Like, who even cares what Van was talking about before? Like, we all need to be a part of this. So Lupin, Impy, Victor, and SG all go with Lenhart to the palace to investigate the crime scene. And us, Van, and Deli decide to go pay a visit to Sholmes to see if Sholmes has any more info that he can share with us. So we get to Sholmes' house. He's like, hey guys, what's up? Like, I'm actually on my way to like do a little investigating right now. Like, want to come with? And we're like, oh, okay. So we start walking down the streets. He's got his little traveling top hat on. He's so charming. And so he tells us that he was researching a lot of the Azoth cases and discovered that the victims have been a lot of Phineas's political rivals. And then Van is like, oh, okay, like that's another indicator that Phineas is Azoth. Like, can you guys believe me yet? And Sholmes, you know, he's not an idiot like that. He's not convinced by these obvious clues. And he's like, well, could be that, or it could be that someone wants us to think it's Phineas. Ever thought about that one? No, I don't think you did. And Sholmes is like, there's actually like a really important guy who is like Phineas's main political rival. And this guy is named Marquis Renfield, which is a fun little Easter egg to Dracula, which I'm reading right now. There's a character named Renfield. So I think that's where they were going with that. And this guy Renfield, he like hated Isaac's ideas. He's a member of like the House of Lords, or like Circle of Lords or something. They're like a council on the government. Like they probably work with Vicky Q, and I guess Phineas is a part of that. And anyway, this guy Renfield hated Isaac, which like of course Phineas didn't like long live Isaac. He loves Isaac. And he also, Renfield, opposed the vampire war. So this guy Renfield, like, he's a really good guy. And Deli's like, wow, I didn't know there were any humans who like opposed the vampire war. Like, that's sick. And Sholmes is like, yeah, like he's a pretty cool guy, but like he's probably gonna be the next target. So like I'm on my way to his house right now because he's probably getting like killed right now. And we're like, oh, okay, let's pick up the pace then. So we get to his house, the mansion of Marquis Renfield, and conveniently, right as we get there, we see a window shatter and a guy jump out onto the ground and start taking off. And we're like, oh, better follow him. So Sholmes goes inside to investigate and make sure that Renfield is okay. And then the three of us take off after the guy. And Van Helsing right away notices, he's like, this guy is maintaining a constant speed. He's not like, it doesn't seem like he's trying to get away from us. It seems like he's trying to be caught by us. So like this is clearly some kind of trap and we all need to be careful. And suddenly at that moment, two Twilight soldiers show up, like with swords, and they attack us. Van Helsing like pulls out his gun and tries to shoot them, but they manage to evade it, which like would be impossible under such close range, like for a regular human. And so Van Helsing is like, oh, they must be hidden strength. And Deli is like, no, these guys are vampires. Like I can tell by their mannerisms, like their physique, like their techniques, these are definitely vampires. So that's very interesting that vampires are like wearing the Twilight uniform. Like, I don't really know what to make of that. Or do I? And Van Helsing is like, okay, you two should go find Lupin and co. Like, this is not safe for you. Like, I will defeat these vampires. And he pulls out his gun. He's about to shoot again when suddenly a voice comes out of the darkness. And he's like, no need to shoot the vampires. The one you want is right here. And who is the one he wants? Phineas is back. Who's excited? Only me? Okay. And Phineas, he's like, hey Van Helsing, how's it going? Like, look, like I know you're obsessed with me, but like maybe tone it down a little because like I've got stuff to do and like you constantly like talking about me and following me around, like it's kind of getting old, okay? But like don't worry, like I'm not here to attack you guys. Like honestly, I just want to say like keep up the good work with this Azoth investigation. Like, you're doing great. And, like, I'll see you later. And then he, like, takes off. And Van Helsing is not pleased about this. And he shoots him. But at the last minute, one of the Twilight soldiers / vampires steps in front of Phineas and protects him and, like, takes the bullet for him. I think it was, like, a rock salt, so he's fine. And Phineas, like, he's like, oh, that's so strange. Like, that was crazy that these vampires just protected me like that. Like, that must be how they're wired. He uses the word wired. Van Helsing is like, what are you talking about, wired? But he doesn't elaborate, so that's another thing to keep in mind. And then Phineas is like, okay, peace, like, I'm out of here. And he just, like, leaves. And Van Helsing, like, goes crazy and, like, takes off after him, running away from the rest of us, leaving us and Deli with the two vampire guards. Now, here we have a very important decision to make. Do we go with Van Helsing, the love of our life, or do we stay with Deli and like help him fight these vampires? And luckily, Deli, being the sweet boy he is, makes the decision for us. And he's like, Cardia, you need to go with Van Helsing, okay? And we're like, what do you mean? Like, why? And Deli is like, Van Helsing is so caught up in revenge right now. Like, he's about to lose himself to the darkness, like the abyss. Like, he is on the verge. And I know how that feels because, like, I used to be caught up by my revenge like that, like my desire for revenge against Van Helsing. And it's like a horrible feeling. But Cardia, like, while that was happening, you were my guiding ray of light. Like, you really pulled me out of that darkness, and I need you to be that for Van Helsing. Like, isn't that sweet? Literally the only person being nice to us right now. Like, thank you, Deli. And we're like, okay, like, I'm so sorry to leave you, Deli, but, like, we will go after Van Helsing. And Deli's like, don't worry about it, girl. Like, I hate Van Helsing, but, like, he saved my life. And honestly, like, I do want him saved. And I do want him safe. And also, like, I'm gonna be fine because I don't want Cece to be lonely without me. So I'm gonna survive. And so we're like, okay, we trust Deli, and we take off after Van Helsing. We follow the trail of blood, like, leaking from one of Van Helsing's wounds, because he was, like, hit by the soldiers. And we find him pointing his gun at Phineas. Classic. We're like, we've seen this before. We didn't like the ending. And Van Helsing is like, oh my gosh, you came after me? Like, that's actually really sweet. But just, like, stay there, because I'm gonna shoot your brother really quick. So, like, just, like, hang out there. And Phineas is like, hey, girl, this guy's, like, kind of embarrassing, like, how obsessed he is with me. Honestly, like, don't you think? Like, brother to sister, like, don't you think, like, he's kind of embarrassing? And Van Helsing is like, shut up, Azoth. Like, I don't want to hear it from you. And Phineas is like, Azoth? Oh, you mean, like, that crazy guy who's, like, committing all these crimes? Like, yeah, like, I'm kind of intrigued by him, too, honestly. Like, he's basically, like, creating a simulation for, like, what I'm gonna do in the new world that I create. And we're like, okay, I'm not even gonna begin to unpack that. Like, cool, Phineas, cool. And Van Helsing is like, whatever, like, you are Azoth, and when I kill you, like, the crimes are gonna stop, and it's gonna prove that you were. And Phineas is like, how many times, like, do we need to talk about this? Van Helsing, you are never gonna be able to kill me. Like, I am immortal. And so just, like, let it rest. Give it up. And Van Helsing is not pleased about this. And so Phineas, like, takes off and starts to walk away. And Van Helsing actually shoots him with a lethal bullet. And he, like, falls into the darkness. But suddenly, Phineas is behind us and, like, holds a knife to our neck. Which, like, this should be impossible, right? Like, Phineas was just shot in the alleyway. And suddenly he's, like, behind us, alive, like, with a knife. So, you know, this may be ringing the bell of, like, the body doubles we were talking about earlier. Like, yeah, maybe that's happening here. And he's like, ha ha ha, like, are you guys surprised? But don't worry, sister. Like, if you come with me, like, I'll tell you all the truth. I'll tell you everything. And Van Helsing, like, he has his gun trained on us now. He's, like, really, really, like, you can see the rage in his eyes. And Phineas is like, go ahead and shoot me. But if you do that, like, you're gonna take us both out. We're both going down together. So make your choice, Van Helsing. Like, get your revenge, or keep your girlfriend safe. Like, up to you. And Van Helsing is really conflicted. Like, clearly this is, like, really affecting him, which, thank goodness, there's some humanity left in him. Like, this affects him. I should hope so. And Phineas is like, does this, like, feel similar to 2 years ago during the Vampire War when your whole family was killed? Like, does that remind you of that? And we're like, whoa, we didn't know this. Like, Van Helsing's whole family was killed? Some hidden lore there. Thank you, Phineas. And he's about to go wild. He did not like that. But suddenly, there's, like, a huge blast that goes off. And Van Helsing is like, oh my gosh, like, that was in the direction of Buckingham Palace, where all of our friends are. We're taken aback. We're, like, concerned. And Phineas uses this distraction to take off running. He's out of there. But we hear his voice in the distance, in the darkness. And he's like, someday, Van Helsing, you'll be unable to make a decision, just like you were today. And it's gonna cost you everything. And Van Helsing, I don't dislike you. In fact, I kind of like you, because you come at me with such passion. And I like that. And so, my dear sister, my dear Van Helsing, two of my most beloved people, I'll see you again soon. And Phineas leaves. That's the end of that. And then we cut to Deli, and the two Twilight Soldier / vampires are lying on the floor dead. And we learn that he took them out, like, he fought them, but they he was gonna try to reason with them, like while they were incapacitated, but then they both like killed themselves, and so he couldn't. And he is like really distraught by this. He's like crying. He's like, what kind of king am I that I can't convince a single one of my people to like help me, and I can't save any of my people? Like, this is horrible. And he's just like thinking about this, like how distraught he is, when suddenly footsteps come up behind him, and then there's an exclamation point, and that's the end of the chapter. So something has happened to Delhi. Van is losing it. Phineas is being a little brat. Everyone's being mean to us. Alistair's there and no one wants him. It's just like a complete mess. And that's where we leave off with chapter 11. Happy times. All right. Welcome to chapter 12. We have now come to the obligatory past and backstory chapter, so just settle in. It's going to be a lot of me talking at you, but I believe in your ability to understand. I know you're smart, and I'm really smart and great at explaining things, so this is going to go well. So after that insane battle with Neuntote, we are now back at the mansion, and it's a peaceful night, you know, and we're just kind of debriefing everything that went down last night and like reflecting on all the craziness. So we learn that basically that explosion that we heard at the end of the night, which we thought was coming from Buckingham Palace, it actually was from Buckingham Palace. It happened inside the palace, and it was another like Azoth incident, and Victoria was there. She was fine, thankfully, but a bunch of like government VIPs were killed, so that's too bad. And you know, Azoth crimes continue to be on the rise. Victoria had to make an official statement and be like, hey guys, like we don't condone this Azoth stuff, and like honestly, like this is kind of war right now. Like I'm calling this a state of war against this Azoth guy, and this will be stopped. And also, sad to say, Delhi is now missing. We can't find him. We were able to find the bodies of the vampires who died that he was fighting, but he is nowhere in sight. So we're a little stressed about that. And honestly, we kind of blame ourselves for that, because we're like, we chose to go after Van Helsing over helping out Delhi, and like maybe if we had stayed, like he would have been fine. So we're like a little upset about that. And now, to make matters worse, Van has also disappeared. He just decided to take off again, and now we're like super depressed because we're like, not only is Delhi gone, now Van is also gone. So this is great. Things are going really well. And you know, after he smiled at us that one time, like we're totally smitten. Like we cannot be away from this guy. So we're really distraught about this, and we're just like kind of sitting there like pining after him, like thinking about how much we miss him, when suddenly somebody throws like a little rock at our window, like a little tap tap on the glass, and we're like, what? We run over to the glass and we see Van is there outside. So we run out to greet him and see what is up with him. And we're like, where have you been? Like, we miss you so much. Like, are you okay? We're worried about you. And he's like, how many times have I told you? Don't worry about me. Don't care about me. Like, he's still singing this same old song. And he's like, I heard Delhi was missing. Like, have you guys been able to find him yet? Is everything okay with that? And we're like, no. And like, honestly, we feel like it's kind of our fault because like we could have stayed with him and helped him. And Van Helsing is like, no girl, like I feel like it's probably my fault too, because like I also abandoned him and like went crazy running after Phineas. So like, don't even blame yourself. Like, it's probably my fault, to be honest. And like, probably it is. And we're like, okay, like, but that's fine. You know what? Like, if we all put our heads together, like Lupin's gang, and we go all together and search for him, like, we're gonna find him. Like, it's gonna be fine. And Van Helsing is like, yeah, about that, like, that's not gonna happen. And we're like, what do you mean? Like, are you still, like, just kind of in one of your moods? Like, I'm sure, like, you'll get over it soon. He's like, no, I'm actually here to say goodbye to you forever. He's like, yeah, you guys honestly are all really weak, and like you just keep slowing me down. And like, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit attached to you guys. Like, I do kind of care about you. So like, that definitely means I have to leave, because I can't risk like getting involved with you guys. And honestly, like my endeavors and my goals are like none of your business anymore, and you're not really helping me anymore, so I'm just gonna go on my own way. And we like freak out at this. Like, finally we've had enough of his shit, and we're like, it is our business, okay? Like, you're going after our brother. Like, we've been involved with you for months now. Like, how do you not understand that we're kind of like attached now? And we're like, also, like, don't you need us to help find Phineas? Like, I thought that was the whole point of you working with us. And he's like, nah, I don't need you anymore. Like, you haven't really helped me. And like, I have my own ways of getting information now. So like, I actually don't need you at all. And we're like, please tell us the truth about Phineas. Like, maybe we can help if you just say why you want this revenge. Like, just like, tell the truth. And he's like, no, you wouldn't understand. And this sets us off. We're like, of course we don't understand, because you don't tell us anything. You just stand there and bully us and are mean. And like, we have like 4 other eligible men we could go to. Like, we're choosing to be with you. So please pick it up. And we're like, why are you so consumed with revenge? Why do you only see us as a tool? Why are you such a mean guy, Van Helsing? And finally, after all that, he starts to tell us the truth. So let me recount to you the sad tale of Van Helsing. Okay, this is the abridged version, but don't worry, because in just a few minutes, we're gonna get the whole narration of his entire life story. So short version for now, more details to follow. Basically, during the Vampire War, Van was a member of Twilight. We know this. And he was tasked with infiltrating the vampires as an undercover agent to learn more about them. So initially, he like trusted Twilight and he didn't care about the vampires at all. And he was like, okay, like, I'm fine with this task. Like, I am fine with all the vampires being killed. Like, who cares? But as he worked with them and lived with them and kind of got to know them more, he realized that the vampires were actually like innocent. Like, they never did anything wrong. They are a peaceful species, like, just trying to live out their days. And honestly, like, the government, like, shouldn't be like needing to go to war with them and fight them. Like, there's no reason for that. And so he kind of starts to question the war, and he brings this information back to Twilight. And he says, like, hey guys, about this war, I actually don't think we need to fight it. And I think that we should kind of cool it with the killing of all the vampires. And they didn't care. They were like, nah, like, we're gonna kill him. So like, just do what you're told and don't ask questions. And he did not like this. So he was like, okay, I need to resign from Twilight. I can't condone this behavior, and I certainly am not gonna carry out these orders. So I'm gonna quit. And Phineas was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And he took Van Helsing's family hostage. So Van Helsing had his like terminally ill mother and his younger brother, and Phineas like just took them hostage. And he was like, if you don't kill all the vampires, I'm going to kill them. And so Van Helsing's like super torn by this, because he really cares about the vampires now. And he's like, he has a good heart at this point in his life. And he's like really conflicted, but ultimately he does decide, as we know, to go through with it and kill all the vampires. And now we know that it was just to keep his family safe. So really, like, he was a good man all along. But then here's the real kicker, guys. After he had killed all the vampires, killed a bunch of innocent people, and he shows back up, Phineas kills his family anyway. Now I understand why this guy's so evil. Like, I'd be going crazy too. And so now we finally know the reason why Van wants Phineas dead so much, because he just killed his family for no reason. He's like a lunatic. And now Van killed all those innocent people for no reason too. So he's just like, he doesn't even think he deserves to live. Phineas doesn't deserve to live. Like, it's just a disaster. This guy lives in like a waking nightmare. And we're like, whoa. This is not what we were expecting. We thought this was going to be a romantic encounter with you throwing a pebble out our window. So like, let's just like, I'll take a moment to take this in. And so he turns to leave. He's like clearly in turmoil. Like, he's never told anyone about this. So he's like really distraught, and he can't handle this right now. And we're like, no, please, like, can we go with you? Clearly you are like on the verge of insane, and like, we really want to help you out of this. Like, this is not a good situation. And he's like, girl, you can't help me. Get this through your thick skull. What are you gonna do? Like, can you fight hidden strength? Are you gonna kill your brother Phineas for me? No, you're not. Like, if the moment came, would you have the guts to kill? And we like do not like this side of him. Like, we're not like we'll fight if we need to, but we're not gonna go like kill people and like be crazy. So we're like, we kind of take a step back from Van Helsing at this. And this just confirms everything that he's thought about himself. He's like, finally, you're seeing the truth. And this is good, because you, Cardia, should take your own path in life. You shouldn't go down this violent road that I'm already going down. And then like, he kind of like softens a little bit, and he's like, but I do have to thank you, because these past few months of living in SG's mansion with all of Lupin's gang have honestly been like the best days of my life. And honestly, like I wish I could spend all my days like this with you and with the rest of Lupin's gang. But that is exactly the reason why I need to leave and why I need to carry out my revenge, because I never want there to be a day where I value warmth and comfort and fun over my revenge. And so that's why I need to leave, because I'm getting too comfortable and I'm getting too attached. And then like we don't even know what to say to this. Like we've kind of said all that we can to Van Helsing, and clearly it doesn't like change his mind at all. And so he just kind of leaves us and he's like, goodbye, and I'm really glad I met you. And then with that, he just turns and leaves while we just kind of watch sadly. We don't even have the energy to fight for him anymore. It's really sad. And so then we cut to the gate of the mansion, and who is there lurking around the whole time? It's Alistair. And he's like, hey man, like, are you really sure you want to just like leave her like that? Like, clearly she loves you, and honestly, Van Helsing, like, I think you love her. So you really want to do this? Honestly, like the most like rational thing he's ever said. Like, finally someone is getting it through to Van Helsing. And Van's like, no, I don't love her. Like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Like, don't be ridiculous. And let's go. We gotta get out of here. So they get into a car and Alistair's driving. And basically we learn that they are headed to St. Paul's Cathedral, which is this really nice cathedral in London, still London. And Alistair is like, yeah. So Phineas, he's returned to the cathedral. And the cathedral is actually Twilight headquarters. So remember how Phineas, like how 3/4 of Twilight's members just like disappeared, and Alistair was like, oh yeah, Phineas took those people. So he says that they're now rebels. These rebellious Twilight soldiers and Phineas have stormed the cathedral. They've taken out all of the remaining Twilight members who were loyal to Alistair. So now Phineas has like overrun the place with his evil soldiers. And Van is like, why is the cathedral so important? Like, why would Phineas do all that work just to like go back to Twilight headquarters, like where he already was? And Alistair is like, well, back in the day when Isaac was in charge of Twilight, he bargained directly with Queen Victoria for this cathedral. Like, it was really important to Isaac. And we know that if it's important to Isaac, it's important to Phineas, because that's all he cares about. So that's probably why he came back. They kind of like fall silent. They're on their drive to the cathedral, and he's just kind of brooding. And he's like, still London. Like, many years ago, I came here with hope and joy in my heart, and now tonight, like, it's all gonna be over. I'm gonna put an end to my connection to this place. And he kind of, begins to reflect on his past, and this is where we get the sepia tone and the paragraphs of text on the screen. And we know that it's time for Van Helsing's past deep dive. You know it, you love it. Let's get into it. All right, settle in. I need to do like a breathing exercise. Van Helsing is a young man, and his father has just died. Okay, sad to say. And his mother is like very sick, and his younger brother is just a child. And so to support them, he decides to travel to Steel London and enlist in the military. This is right after Isaac and Victoria kind of created Steel London, and so Victoria is like kind of beefing up her military, and they're recruiting a lot of people. So Van decides to go join. Now he shows up to the recruiting field and like starts going through all the trials. And right off the bat, he's showing amazing skill. Like, he clearly has like innate talent and is a very good fighter. Alistair is currently a section commander of Twilight, okay? And he just happens to be at the recruiting field, looking for if some people might be good enough to join Twilight. And he notices Van, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, I gotta get this guy in Twilight. Like, he's amazing. And so he ends up recruiting Van, even though Van has like no previous experience. And so Alistair calls Van Helsing to the cathedral, which is being used as HQ for Twilight, as we just learned. And Van is like, why are we in the cathedral? Like, I was told that this cathedral was closed to the public after an accident. And Alistair's like, yeah, that's just what we wanted you to think. Like, we told everybody that there was this big accident, the cathedral's unsafe, but really it's being used as Twilight HQ. And Van's like, well, what is Twilight? Because nobody knows what it is at this point. It's like top secret. It's like the CIA. And Alistair's like, well, I like to call Twilight a sword for the creation of peace and tranquility in Steel London. Van's like, okay, I like the sound of that. Like, that sounds cool. That sounds like something I'd want to be a part of. And he's like, yeah, and we're currently under the command of military technology advisor Phineas. Like, I know he looks like he's 12 years old, but he's been tasked with leading the whole organization. So he's a pretty cool guy, that Phineas. And he's like, yeah, so, you know, starting today, like, you're going to be a part of Twilight. And I know, like, your mother is sick and dying and your family's, like, struggling. But don't even worry, because here at Twilight, like, we get paid the big bucks. So, like, they're going to be fine. And you're going to have a great time. And so for the next, like, 6 months, Alistair personally trains Van Helsing and just, like, starts the process of making him into, like, the human weapon, you know, like, making him really strong, because Alistair's actually a really strong fighter. And so Van Helsing begins to rise through the ranks of Twilight, like, right off the bat. He starts to really get up there in importance because he's very skillful and a fast learner. And, you know, we, like, see a little battle between the two of them, and Van Helsing at this point is unable to defeat Alistair, who's really strong. And Van is like, why can't I beat you? Like, what's your secret? And Alistair is like, King, like, you rely on your instinct and not your intellect. And, like, that's all well and good, but in the heat of battle, like, sometimes you got to be thinking strategy, and you got to be thinking intellect, and you got to kind of be able to tie those two together. And so we see a letter Van Helsing writes to his mother, and he's like, things are great. I can't tell you, like, what I'm doing, because Twilight's top secret, but just trust, like, I'm having a good time. And he's like, money's gonna arrive soon. I have this great friend named Alistair. And, you know, not only is Alistair a big military guy, he's also a university professor. And he was like, oh, I see, like, that you didn't go to school and, like, don't know how to read, Van Helsing. Like, I'll also teach you in your academic studies as well as your battle skills. So these two are just, like, hanging out all the time. They're the best of pals. And he's like, don't worry, mother. Like, the second I get, like, a break from work, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna come see you guys. But he never does. And so now we cut to Van Helsing. This is still in the past. This is still part of his history. We cut to his first ever battle. So now he's done with training and he's going out with Twilight into the big world to do a battle. And this happens to be a very significant task that we already know about. They are fighting the hidden strength soldiers. So remember how, you know, Victoria commissioned hidden strength, and this is like right before the Vampire War, and all the humans went crazy. And then she was like, okay, Phineas, kill them all. That job kind of fell to Alistair and his squad. So Alistair and Van Helsing and their fellow Twilight soldiers are being tasked with killing all the hidden strength people. But the hidden strength people are really strong, and they end up, like, killing everybody on Alistair's squad except for Van and Alistair. So they're kind of backed into an alley in this battle, and it's, like, looking hopeless. Van Helsing is like, Alistair, run. Like, let me try to take care of this, and, like, maybe at least you can survive. Like, you're more important. And Alistair's like, no, dude, like, don't even stress. Like, we're gonna be fine. And when we get out of this, like, I don't want you to call me professor anymore. I don't want you to, like, stick to, like, decorum and rules. Like, I want us to be friends and equals. And Van Helsing is like, okay, cool, I agree. And at that moment, there's an explosion. I'm telling you, like, if there's ever a problem in this game, it can either be solved by an explosion or the ornithopter, okay? So never worry that people aren't going to be able to make it out of a situation, because they always are. And so, yeah, this explosion blows everybody up, all the hidden strength people, except for Jack the Ripper, who we know managed to escape. But yeah, and then Alistair's like, oh yeah, so actually, like, before this mission, I planted explosives everywhere, and I told everybody except for you, Van Helsing. And the point of that was that I just really wanted you to survive. Like, honestly, that's what I cared about more than all else. And I did this because, you know, like, it was your first battle, and I feel like giving any more tasks, like detonating explosives and stuff, like, would just, like, you know, make it a bigger chance of you dying. So that's why. No other reason. And so after this battle, like, Alistair and Van become besties. Like, they're friends and equals now. And Van Helsing actually manages to get stronger than Alistair, which is very impressive. And so these two are kind of like the dynamic duo of Twilight now, where Alistair will give the strategy and Van Helsing is kind of the weapon who will carry it out. So he's the brains and he's the brawn. So now we cut to the Vampire War, okay? And Van Helsing is undercover, and he's in there with the royal family. Okay, so King Delacroix I, his wife, his little baby son, Deli, you know, they're all there. And Van is like besties with Deli, which we didn't know. We didn't know that like in the past, like they were really good friends. And Van is like training Deli on how to fight. And he's also training with King Delacroix, so he's like teaching him all that he knows. Like he's really in there with the family. And you know, there's a little convo with Deli. He's like, oh my gosh, like you're almost as strong as my teacher neuntote. So neuntote, like throwback, he was actually Deli's teacher. And then he's like, Van Helsing, please teach me how to fight. Like promise me, like I want to get strong one day like you. And Van Helsing is like, okay, like I promise. I'm sad to say that this promise was never fulfilled. Van Helsing goes back to London to report to Alistair and the rest of Twilight what he knows, and he's like, Alistair, babe, like, we cannot do this. The vampires are good people, King Delacroix and his family are innocent, and I just cannot be a part of this. Like, we cannot fight them. Like, they're innocent. And Alistair is like, you know what? Like, I actually agree with you. I agree with you, Van Helsing. I have always thought something was off with this war, and I just, like, really don't think that we should be a part of this. Like, you're so right. Let me talk to Phineas and, like, see what I can do. And Van Helsing's like, really? Like, you would do that for me? And Alistair's like, of course. Like, what are friends for? But he doesn't even need to go to Phineas because Phineas just shows up. And he's like, hey, guys, I heard what you're talking about, and, like, no need to come find me. Like, I'm already gonna say no. And Van Helsing's like, but you didn't even, like, hear us out. Like, these people are innocent. And Phineas is like, yeah, actually, like, I don't care. I don't care, and we need to keep this war moving. So I still want to hear all the info you gathered on the vampires, and like you will be reporting that at the strategy meeting tomorrow, like whether you like it or not, okay? And Van Helsing is like, why? Like, I don't understand. Like, these people are peaceful and innocent, and they pose no threat to Britain. And Phineas is like, okay, but like, when in history has war ever really been justified? You know, like, so I'm just doing what's always been done. And like, honestly, we just need an opponent to like destroy and decimate to show the might of Britain and to show how strong we are. And like, the vampires are such a safe choice because nobody cares about them. Like, no other country is gonna be mad that we killed all the vampires. So like, we're gonna just go ahead with it, okay? And we're gonna show the world how strong Britain is. Like, that's kind of scary. And if you recall, like, from Impy's route, the whole thing with Nemo and like his country, like, this is not really a good look for Queen Victoria, okay? I'm just gonna be honest there. And Van Helsing is like, okay, but like, I thought the whole reason this war started was because the vampires like attacked a human village. And like, I just like don't believe they would do that. Like, I don't think they did that. And Phineas is like, no, of course they didn't do that. Like, you silly, like, I did that. Like, I killed all the humans. Like, we needed something to like get the people rallied up, like get this war going. And Van Helsing and Alistair are like, okay, like we object to this. Like, we will not be a part of this, Phineas. Like, you're crazy and we're not helping you destroy these people. And Phineas is like, Alistair, like, come on, be serious. Like, you're my top guy. And so for you, I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that. And as for you, Van Helsing, like, if you reject this order, you're not gonna like what happens to you. Let me just say that. And so, you know, as we know, Britain ended up releasing a bunch of gas, poisonous gas, caused by Zicterium, which we know who created that. So they do this and kill a bunch of vampires, and King Delacroix and his family take in all the survivors into their big mansion, which they kind of create as like a stronghold. And that is why Van had to be sent in to kill the royal family, because they were holed up in this stronghold and couldn't be killed by the poisonous gas. And so we cut to that fateful day. You know, Phineas has taken Alistair and Van's families both hostage to get them to do this. And so Van and Alistair show up to the royal family's home. Van kills a ton of people. He kills King Delacroix the First, and Alistair kills the king's wife. So Alistair was actually the one who killed Deli's mom, but Deli manages to escape, and they're unable to find Deli. And Alistair's like, okay, let's find Deli, like, let's finish the job. And Van is like, no, Alistair, like, I need to draw the line here. I know my family is at risk, but I cannot kill little Deli. Like, he's a child, and we can't keep getting away with this. And Alistair's like, you know what, like, you're right, Van, like, let's get out of here, our job is done. And so they go back to London, and they're rewarded as heroes. As we know, Van Helsing is now like a hero of Britain. Victoria gives them all these accolades, and Van just like, he's disgusted by it. He resigns from Twilight, and he's like, I'm going back home to my family, because they're the only reason I did this, and they're the only thing that can like give me any kind of salvation now. So he goes back to his family home, but when he gets there, they are dead. his family has been murdered, and like it was a brutal murder, like it was really bad. And so right away he contacts Alistair, tells him everything, and Alistair's like, yeah, my family was also killed. And so they put their heads together and they managed to track down the Twilight Soldier who did this. And in that Twilight Soldier's room, there's like, he has like a really obvious note just like lying out on the table with Phineas's seal. And it's like, kill Van Helsing and Alistair's families. Love, Phineas. And so they're right away, they're like, okay, this guy's gotta go. This guy's the problem. And so then since that day, Van has been working with Alistair to track down Phineas and like get as close as they can to killing him. And as we know, Van was able to kill him in the past, but due to his immortality, they haven't been able to seal the deal. And that is what led him to find us in the first place, because Alistair kind of informed him about us and was like, oh, there's this girl who's Phineas's sister. Like if you hook up with her and like you'll learn more about Phineas. So that is what brought us together in the first place. So very long and sad history, and I hope now you can kind of understand why Van Helsing is so mean. So like we gotta cut him some slack, right? Like this guy's just had like the worst life ever. And that's why we need to be here to bring light into his life and be his salvation. So now we're back to the present. They're still in the car. Alistair's driving and he's like, can we focus in, Van Helsing? Like enough reminiscing, like we got a job to do. Van Helsing is like, dude, like does this not feel like we're back at the vampire war? Like back to go kill someone, just me and you, like wreaking havoc? And Alistair's like, yeah, but the difference is back then, like we were being forced to do that. And this time it's of our own wills and our own minds. And like, that's beautiful. Like, I don't think it's beautiful. And let's not forget who wanted to stay and kill Delhi. Like, let's just think about that. Anyway, after all that terrible, terrible, sad times, we cut back to the mansion and we have snapped to action. We have gathered everyone in the dining room and we're like, guys, I need your help. And we tell them everything. We tell them about how Van was just here, about his sad goodbye and how he like never wants to see us again. And then we're like, honestly, like when he was saying all that, like we felt like it was a cry for help. We're like, there was a look in his eyes, like he was clearly disturbed and like we need to help him. And we give this like passionate speech about how much we care about him and how much we want to be by his side and help him. And everyone is like, oh my gosh, like you are in love. And we're like, what? And Lupin is like, you have finally become a human, because men and women become human when they fall in love. And that is what has happened to you. And we realize that, yes, we do love Van Helsing, mean as he is. And so of course they agree to help us. Like they always do. They're the best. And so we go out to the front gate and we see the tracks that Alistair's car has left behind. And we're like, okay, we need to follow these tracks. And we follow them as far as we can. And SG, like you know how he knows London's layout really good? And he's like, oh, I can tell from the direction they went that they're still in London. And so Lupin is like, okay, I know how to find him. And somehow he's been able to train Cece to be like a kind of hunting dog. And so he has Cece like smell one of Van's handkerchiefs, and like suddenly Cece just like takes off and like goes to find Van. And so we all just follow him. Like, that's pretty convenient. And now we cut to Van and Alistair. They have infiltrated the cathedral, and they are immediately met with some of those rebellious Twilight soldiers who they're under Phineas's command. And Van Helsing just, like, takes them all out. With rock salt bullets, though, guys. Like, I know you were worried. And now we cut back to us, hearing the gunshots from Van Helsing's gun. And that's how we know, okay, he's in the cathedral. So we all go there. And by the time we get there, the soldiers have all been knocked out and Van is nowhere to be seen. But we actually get met with even more soldiers. And Saint Germain is like, no worries, guys. Cardia, go get your man. Like, and I can take care of these soldiers on my own. And like, we trust him. Like, we know what this guy's capable of. But of course, Victor is like, I'll stay with you. Like, I can really help with my 5 test tubes. But honestly, it's a blessing. Like, we don't need to be around him any more than we already are. So we leave Victor and SG behind and we enter the cathedral. Second we get in, we're met with even more soldiers. And so Lupin and Impy are like, don't worry, girl. We got this time. Keep on going. So we keep on running and we manage to make it to the main room of the cathedral. And the second we get there, it's like this beautiful room, you know, picture like those European cathedrals with the like vaulted ceilings and just beauty and splendor all around. And that is ruined by the 2 ugly faces we see when we enter the room, Phineas and Alistair. And they're like, oh my gosh, like fancy seeing you here, girl. Like did not expect that. And we're like, Van Helsing, where is Van Helsing? And he steps out and he's like, don't worry, girl, I'm right here. But like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you came to save me. Like you were just like my knight in shining armor. He doesn't say that, but I think that's what he's thinking. And these three are surrounded by a bunch of soldiers, okay? There's soldiers on the ground, dead, and they're Twilight soldiers, so those must be some of Phineas's people. But there's more Twilight soldiers surrounding them, along with members of the Royal Guard, okay? And they all have their guns pointed at Alistair and Van. So these people are all under Phineas's control. And Van is like, why would you come? Like, this is so dangerous. Like, please. And we are like, we care about you, Van Helsing. And you know what? Let me do you one better. We love you. We declare our love to Van Helsing in this horrible situation. Instead of Van Helsing responding and being like, I love you too. Instead, our response is Phineas laughing at us and making fun of us. And he's like, girl, you can't love people. You are a monster. And then he kind of gets mad and he's like, you are wasting my time with this love confession right now when you should be helping me carry out Father's plan. Like, why do you keep denying Father, you horrible girl? And then he's like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with this nonsense. And he snaps his fingers and all of the guards lower their guns. And Van Helsing is like, what are you doing? Like, this guy just does whatever the hell he wants. And he's like, go ahead and shoot me, Van Helsing. I'm going to give you the best chance you're ever going to get. So just go ahead, let out your aggression and shoot me. And you know what, Van Helsing? I'm going to show you the true meaning of despair. And Van Helsing is like, okay, don't have to tell me twice. And he shoots Phineas in the leg. And Phineas falls. And then he just gets right back up again. And he's like, oh, is that all you got? You shoot me in the head next, you coward. Like, do whatever you want. Do your worst. And Van does not like this. He's really been provoked. And so he just like demolishes Phineas. He like shoots him over and over again. And Phineas is like cackling with every bullet. Like he just thinks it's funny. And then finally he lies down dead. And I just gotta say, like, that's pretty insensitive of him to do in front of us. Like, that's our baby brother. But, you know, when has he ever been sensitive before? And then, just as the first Phineas goes down, another Phineas shows up and like steps over the body and he's like, I'm back, bitch. And he snaps again and the soldiers raise their guns this time, train it on Van Helsing. And we run in front of him and we're like, you know what, Phineas? We know that you need us alive. You told that to Jack. You told that to us on the train. Like, we know that you need us alive. So go ahead and shoot. And like, but you'll kill me. And Phineas is like, okay. Like, I actually don't need you alive. Like, you think so highly of yourself. Like, I can fill out Father's wishes without you. So, like, go ahead and die. So, like, that was kind of a fail. And then suddenly, a bell rings. And we all look over at Alistair. And he's like, surprise, that was my signal. Phineas, your time is up. And suddenly, the soldiers all point their guns at Phineas and shoot him. They, like, take him out. And he just, like, falls to the ground, like, dying. Like, what? And Alistair is like, surprise! These soldiers that you thought were loyal to you, Phineas, they were loyal to me the whole time. And Van looks very confused. So we kind of deduced that Van, he was not in the know about this whole scheme. And let's just take a moment to say that this is where it really goes off the rails, okay? You need to listen closely to what I'm saying because this is going to change everything that I just told you in the past 20 minutes, okay? So take all of that and just like forget about it because the real truth is about to come out. Alistair stands over Phineas's dying body and he's like, haha, Phineas, how does it feel to not be in control anymore? Like, little boy, like, the Reaper is here. Phineas, like, just kind of laughs. And he's like, so, I guess you're done hiding your identity now. You're one silly eye, Alistair. Or should I say, Azoth. Guys, who saw that coming? Okay, be honest. I'm sure you did. Like, I was not exactly subtle about it, but Azoth. And Alistair's like, how did you know? Like, I thought I hit it pretty well. I thought I was being, like, really sneaky. And then he's like, you know what? Like, I really underestimated you, Phineas. Like, you're just as smart as your father. Which, honestly, that's a nice thing to say to him before he dies because, you know, he really loves his father, that Phineas. And Van Helsing is shocked. We're shocked. We cannot believe this. Like, we thought Azoth was Phineas from those very obvious clues. So we're very surprised. You need to remember, for the next things that are going to happen, Alistair is like Van Helsing's closest friend. They have like basically grown up together and trained together and really like have gone through some of the darkest times in their lives together. So that just really like, this is a deep, deep betrayal. And this guy's already on the edge, like, it's about to get really bad for him. And Alistair's like, yeah, it's me, Azoth. Like, yeah, it is. But, like, I gotta take care of something first. So, like, just wait a second, Van Helsing and Cardia. And then he turns to Phineas, and he's like, I'm sorry, Phineas, to do this, but I actually know the secret of your immortality, and, like, you're gonna be dead for real. And Phineas is like, no, you don't. Like, don't even joke with me. And then Alistair leans down and whispers something in Phineas's ear, and Phineas screams. And then, before he can say anything, Alistair stabs him through the neck, and Phineas dies. And suddenly there's an explosion deep in the cathedral. Like, it seems like it's coming, like, from the underground, and no other Phineases show up. Phineas is dead for good. And Alistair just laughs, and he's like, oh, Phineas, you were so entertaining. Like, I almost regret killing you, but not really. And then he turns to Van Helsing, and he's like, it's your lucky day. Phineas is dead. Like, you should be thanking me. Like, where's the celebration? Pop the champagne. And Van is like, please explain. Like, you cannot, like, I cannot wrap my head around this. Like, you are my best friend. And Alistair's like, yeah, honestly, like, I'm a little disappointed with you, Van Helsing. Like, over the past few days, like, I haven't been really pleased with what I've been seeing. With Jack, you know, I did like your fighting against Jack. I thought you did a good job. But in all the, like, kind of scenarios I planned in my head, like, you were supposed to kill Jack. And, you know, like, I thought I did a really good job, like, kind of connecting your memories of the battlefield and your traumatic past. And so I thought that would really trigger, like, a rage in you. So I guess that girl really did save you, because you didn't end up killing Jack. Fascinating. And he's just, like, revealing all these, and we don't even know what to say. We're like, what is going on? And then he goes, as for neuntote, you did an abysmal job. I was embarrassed as your teacher to see you fighting like that. Like, come on, amateur hour. And we're like, we don't believe you. Like, how could this be? Like, you were such a dear friend to Van Helsing. And he's like, well, if you don't believe me, like, I can go through every single Azoth crime, like, in detail and describe, like, the methods and the strategy that was used. And we're like, okay, there's no need for that. Like, you have an evil way about you, so I actually believe you. But then we're like, why would you do this? Like, the question that's on everyone's mind. And he's like, actually, I have a good reason, but, like, to you, girl, like, I don't really feel the need to explain. Like, I don't know why you're even here, to be honest. And then he's like, honestly, like, Azoth is kind of just, like, a fun hobby for me. Like, I enjoy doing it. And he says, you know, I just think humans are the most beautiful species, you know? They're so beautiful. And beauty to me is caused by pain and fear and suffering. And so I was like, I just really need to make the world beautiful. And to do that, like, I'm just gonna go crazy and kill a bunch of people. And he's like, haha, like, guys, like, you were all tricked by me. Like, isn't that crazy? And honestly, like, you guys are so dumb. Like, it wasn't that hard to figure out. You know, like, Van Helsing, like, you were just such a capable soldier and a capable fighter. And your hatred with Phineas was so fun for me to witness. And not only that, it bought a lot of time for me to kind of figure out the secret behind Phineas's immortality. And, you know, to achieve my goals that I'm not going to tell you right now, I really needed Phineas dead. So honestly, like, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, because then I was able to find out his secret and kill him, as we just saw. So thank you. And, like, now that Phineas is out of the picture, like, I can achieve my long-standing ambitions. So, like, this is really a joyous day. We should be celebrating. And Van Helsing is like, I don't understand, because, like, he killed our families, Alistair. Like, we talked about this. Like, your family is dead because of Phineas, and so is mine. And he's like, yeah, my family's dead, but, like, not because of Phineas. I killed my family, and I had fun doing it. And not only that, like, I killed yours too. Like, it wasn't Phineas. Taking your family hostage, like, ordering their deaths, like, that was all me. And I left behind these, like, obvious clues so you would think it was Phineas and you would hate him. And, like, have this, like, hilarious little rivalry. Like, isn't that funny? Like, it was me the whole time. And honestly, the reason that Alistair did this was because he wanted Van to kill Phineas. Because if you remember, Van is stronger than Alistair now. And so Alistair didn't think he could kill Phineas, but he knew Van could. Obviously, Alistair ended up figuring out the secret of Phineas's immortality and was able to kill him before. But, you know, all roads led to his one goal, so it worked out for him. And Van is like, since when were you this evil guy? Like, how long have you been so horrible? And he's like, literally, since the day I met you, I was evil. I was planning this since the second I laid eyes on you. Isn't that crazy? Like, our whole friendship, like, it was all a lie. Everything in your life is a lie. We're like, oh, geez, if we thought this guy was messed up before. we're never getting through to him now. And so understandably, Van Helsing is losing it. He pulls out his gun and tries to shoot Alistair, but one of the soldiers shoots Van in the arm and he's not able to. And Alistair is like, yeah, those dudes, like those soldiers that are here, like they're actually hidden strength. Surprise. And actually, like even better, I was the one who created hidden strength. It was all me. And, you know, like at first, like I'll admit, like there were some problems, you know, that's why we had to kill all those guys because they went crazy. But now I've managed to perfect hidden strength. And now, as you can see, they do whatever I tell them to do. And so I've just been hidden strengthening it up with all these random people. And so that's like how I was able to pull this all off. Isn't that crazy? And Van is like, I will kill you, Alistair. I will kill you. And Alistair's like, yeah. Okay, but like it's nice to say all that, but like I feel like you don't really hate me like with all of your heart and your soul yet, and I want that. Okay, like I know this was a deep betrayal, so I'm just gonna give you some time to really let that hate like simmer and consume you. Okay, just like keep on building that up. And then he snaps his fingers. The soldiers surround us, and he's like, okay, bye. I'm gonna like head out right now, but meet me at the Tower Bridge once you've killed all these guys, because I don't really have use for them anymore, and I just want you to kill more people, Van Helsing, because it's funny. And I'll welcome you at the Tower Bridge. Now that you know the truth, like we can have a good time. So meet me there. And Van like tries to shoot him on his way out, but the soldiers step in front of him, and then he's gone. And Van is forced to kill all of the soldiers. And at the end, he's just standing there covered in blood, and we're like, he's dripping with blood, like, and he looks like crazed. This guy, honestly, like at this point, I was kind of thinking he was beyond repair. I'm sure you are too. I'm sure you're very curious to see how he is redeemed, because this guy's been through hell. And then the end of the chapter is Alistair making his way through the London streets, and he's just like having the time of his life. He's like looking out at the London skyline, laughing it up, and he's like, everything is in place. Van Helsing, this was all for you. All to create you into this human weapon. It was all for you. And that's where we end chapter 11. Literally in the depths of despair. I don't think it could get worse than this. I really don't. Okay, everyone, we've made it to the final chapter. I know there has not been much joy so far, and honestly, there isn't going to be much joy until the very end of the chapter, but just settle in. We can do this. We're almost there, okay? We start the chapter with Lenhart. He is driving through the streets of London, very distraught. He has just received news that the Newgate prison, which apparently holds a bunch of like top security prisoners, has just had a breakout, and a bunch of like super violent prisoners have just escaped. So he gets to the prison, he's like looking around, and all the employees are like dead on the floor. It's like very ominous. And one of the employees is like in the process of dying. And so he goes over to him and he's like, what happened? Like, tell me everything. And the employee is like, yeah, the prisoners just like randomly started going insane, and they started chanting like, Azoth, Azoth, and like killed us all. So, you know, there's that. And then the employee just dies. And Lenhart's like, okay, cool. Then a soldier comes up to Lenhart and he's like, hey man, like just letting you know, there's been 80 reports in the past hour of like insane violent activity on the streets of London. So Azoth has fully gone off the rails now. He is just like sending every like lunatic criminal in the world out onto the streets and terrorizing people, and London is in complete disarray. So really bad times. And so Lenhart is like, okay, we got to go back to Azoth Task Force headquarters, okay? And we need to get it together because things are looking dire and we need to decide our priorities. So he heads back to the task force headquarters to accomplish this. We now return to the cathedral. Us and Van Helsing, after that traumatic revelation we just had, reconvene with the gang. I don't know why like they're right around Alistair and Phineas. Like I should have organized that better, because I hate to even look at him, like let alone point at him. And so we all, or I assume Victor gives Van Helsing some first aid before we leave, because he's really torn up. This guy's just going through it. And there's like gunshots and fighting around every corner. Like the second we leave the cathedral, it's like in complete disarray. And like right next to us, actually, there's like a riot going on where one of the escaped prisoners is like running around stabbing people. So that's fun. And Van steps out to attack him. And the prisoner like lunges at him with the knife, but literally like before we even see what happens, he's like down on the ground. He's taken out. And Saint Germain is like, Van Helsing, what the hell was that? Like, he somehow, Van Helsing, managed to like hit this guy's nerve cluster in like so fast that we couldn't even see it, and like took the guy out. And Saint Germain's like, look, I know you're talented, Van Helsing, and I know you're strong, but no human in the world could accomplish something like that. So something's going on. And Van Helsing is like, stop talking to me, go back to the mansion. I am going after Alistair. And he takes off down the street. And so, of course, we immediately try to go after him, but Impy stops us. And he's like, don't worry, girl, I'm not getting in the way of your quest for love as much as I'd want to, but I have something that can help you. And he pulls out this little like tracking device. And he's like, I've put a transmitter on Van Helsing. And so now whenever he goes off on his little rampages, we can track him and you'll be able to find him. And I'm going to give this to you because I think you need it most. Isn't that thoughtful? He loves us in every universe. And so the gang is like, okay, we're going to go back to Azoth Task Force HQ, where Lenhart is, and we're all going to help him put a stop to the violence on the streets. But Cardia, you need to go after Van Helsing. You're the only one he might listen to. And we know you love him and you need to be there. And we're like, okay, good plan. And Saint Germain is like, you know what, girl? Like, I'll escort you a little ways down the streets because, you know, there's like violent criminals everywhere and I don't want you on your own. So don't worry, girl. A real one. And so now we cut to Azoth Task Force HQ, headed by the government. And Lupin, Impy, Victor, and Lenhart are all there, okay? And they tell Lenhart about Alistair being Azoth and like everything that went down in the cathedral. I guess we like filled them in on that. They're all kind of discussing and they're like, okay, instead of all going after Alistair right now, that's like not really a good use of our time. Instead, we're gonna go try to contain these incidents on the street. So like go after these escaped prisoners and stuff to try to rein that in. Lenhart's like, are you sure about that? Like you're just sending Cardia after and Van Helsing after him? Like, I don't know if that's like really a good idea. Like, that's not a lot of people. And Impy's like, don't worry, like Cardia is the best lion tamer around, and like even that four-eyed beast can't help but warm up to her. And Lenhart's like, what the hell are you talking about? I've stopped talking nonsense. And then Sholmes shows up and he's like, oh, Lenhart, you old man, like don't discount the value of love. Like you have so much to learn about the world. And we're all like, ha ha ha, that's Sholmes. And then he's like, by the way, I've actually figured out the motive behind the Azoth cases. And we're like, okay, tell us more, do tell. And he's like, yeah, so by drawing out the might of the military through all these random violent incidents, there's like nobody guarding the palace. So I assume that Alistair, as Azoth, wants to go to the palace and take over the government and just like wreak havoc. And then he says, but I just don't understand why Alistair would do this, because this like is obviously an impossible task for one man to bring down a whole government. And I just can't understand why he thinks that would be achievable. So I think that Alistair might have some sort of other motive for these cases, and perhaps this is just like a cover-up motive. Okay. Honestly, the palace thing doesn't get brought up again, so I guess that wasn't his real motive, but who's to say? So back to us and Saint Germain. Saint Germain is taking out a ton of hidden strength people for us, just killing them left and right. And we're like, wow, this Saint Germain guy can fight. Like, this guy's powerful. I wonder why. And I'm sure you are wondering, but I'm not going to tell you. And then, okay, for this part, you got to remember way back to the first video, beginning of the first video, before we first meet Saint Germain, I almost said Van Helsing, before we meet Saint Germain, we think we see a suit of armor walking around the mansion. Do you guys remember that? Like, deep cut. It's okay if you don't. And suddenly this suit of armor like shows up in front of us. I'll actually, guys, I have a sneak peek. This is what it looks like. Okay, this is a spoiler, okay? But this will be a little teaser for what we might encounter on Saint Germain's route, okay? Forget you saw that. Anyway, we see the suit of armor and we are like, what the hell is going on? Like, another thing to deal with. And Saint Germain is like, don't worry, girl. This person's after me. I'll deal with the armor, but you're gonna have to go off on your own. And we're like, okay, like, don't tell me twice. I don't want to face that. And so we take off. And we'll never see the armor again. I don't know. I guess we'll never know who that was. Too bad. And before he goes, he's like, I know Van Helsing is your happiness, and it's a gentleman's duty to support a lady's happiness. So go be happy, girl. Oh, I love him. Anyway, we take off running after Van Helsing, and we end up finding him in a dark alleyway, okay? And it is raining. It's pouring rain. It's a thunderstorm. There's thunder and lightning. It's very moody and perfect for what is about to happen. So, you know, we do the same old dance we've been doing this whole route. He's like, why are you here? Why'd you come after me? We're like, because we care about you. He's like, I don't need you. And we say, I don't care because we need you. We need you, Van Helsing. And we're gonna come with you. Even if it costs us our life, we don't care. We don't care. You mean more to us than our very life. Like, all right, I respect it. Like, she knows what she wants. And then Van Helsing does something insane. He points his gun at us and he shoots the wall behind us, like right next to us. And we're like, and he's like, oh, really? Like, you're prepared to give up your life right now for me? Then prove it. Like, stand there. And we're like, okay, we're not gonna leave. Seeing you leave and losing you would be worse than us dying. So like, go ahead and be crazy and shoot. If that like gets it out of your system, like go for it. And so he just like shoots a ton of bullets in the wall around us and we just stand there. Like very brave and very badass, honestly. And finally, guys, this was worth waiting for. He steps forward and like pins us to the wall and like looks down at us. It's like very intense. In the rain, there's a beautiful CG. It's like very, very moving. And he just lets it all out. Finally, this guy is giving us some emotion. He's giving us some truth. And he's like, girl, I am going to my death right now. I am going to die. And why would you ever want to follow me there? Like, that is no place for you. And we stand strong. We're like, no, I think we are both going to live through this. And having me there by your side is the best chance that we're going to be able to do that. And he says, no, if you really love me, you will listen to me right now. Listen to me when I say that you are so important to me. He says that. He says, I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to die. And that is why I'm so mean to you. Finally, we get to the root of the issues. I'm so mean to you because you are so important to me and I'm trying to distance myself from you because I only bring pain and devastation to people I love. And so I'm trying to push you away. And we say, Van Helsing, we don't care and we love you. And the only place we ever want to be is at your side. And he just says, girl, like, please don't make this more difficult than it has to be. I have no right to happiness. I will never be able to live a happy life after what I've done. And he finally lets us go and he steps back. And he tells us that when this fight is done, he's going to disappear for good, kind of implying that he's not going to make it out of this battle. And he starts to turn away and leave. And before he does, he says, thank you for loving someone like me. And then he walks off. And we chase after him. After all that, we're not going to let him get away. But at the last second, he just kind of gives us a sad smile and he hits us with one of those nerve attacks he did earlier. And we pass out. Brutal! We now go to Van Helsing's perspective and he carries us to an abandoned mansion. Like the family who lived there has fled from all the crimes. And he just kind of lays us like in one of the rooms and he heads off to the Tower Bridge where Alistair said he was going to be. And the whole time he's just like reflecting on all these traumatic events in his past that have led him here. And he also reflects on the love that he feels that he wished he didn't feel. It's very, very dramatic. And so he arrives at the bridge and it's covered in fog. It's very ominous. And Alistair is standing in the middle of it. And he's like, hey, Abraham, like, you're late, like, took a little detour. And Van Helsing just pulls out his gun. He doesn't want to deal with this anymore, and understandably so. And Alistair is like, hey, like, it's not my time to die just yet. Like, settle down there, babe. And suddenly, Delhi steps out from behind him. I know, did you forget Delhi was missing? I bet you did. Like, that's so rude of you. How could you forget? But he's back, so don't worry. You're forgiven. And Delhi is clearly, like, under some kind of influence. Like, his eyes are, like, very, like, dead. There's no light in his eyes. And he's just rambling about how Van Helsing is his worst enemy. And he keeps, like, calling out for his mother and father. And, like, clearly we know what this means. We've been around long enough to know that Delhi is under hidden strength. And Delhi charges at Van Helsing and like knocks him off his feet. And that is confirmation because Delhi has gotten way stronger than he was before. And Alistair is like, yep, hit him with hidden strength. And like his mind probably shattered when I did all that, but like whatever, like what's it to me? Like I don't care. And Van Helsing is like distraught by this. He's like, why would you do this? Like to Delhi wasn't even involved in this. And Alistair's like, why do you care? Vampires are our enemies, aren't they? Like, isn't that why you killed so many of them? And then he's like, actually, like, psych, I'm going back to the cathedral. And when you kill Delhi, like, you can come too, okay? So, like, see you later. Like, just leading us on this wild goose chase. Like, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. And then Van Helsing is like, oh, running away? Like, you're a coward. And he's like, I'm not running away, Van Helsing. Like, I'm waiting for you. I've always been waiting for you. I'm waiting for the moment when you're going to be complete. Because you are my greatest work of art. And then he takes off, like, All right. And Van Helsing tries to attack Deli, and Deli tries to attack Van Helsing, and they start to fight, and scene change. We cut to us. We're waking up in the random mansion. We're like, where are we? It all comes back to us. Van Helsing taking us out, and we're like, okay, we got to find him. We pull out the tracker, and it shows Van Helsing at the tower bridge. But then suddenly the screen like flickers and it says target lost. So he must have discovered the tracker. Luckily though, we saw where he was first and we head out to the tower bridge to find him. And so now we're back with Van Helsing and Deli, but Deli has returned to his normal self. Van Helsing managed to knock him out and overpower him, and that kind of knocked him back to his regular self. He was able to escape the clutches of hidden strength. Yay! But he's like clearly injured. He's just kind of resting against the bridge, and he's like, Van Helsing, like, I'm so tired. Can you please just kill me? He's like, I'm tired of the revenge, and I just miss my mother and father, and I want to go back to them. And Van Helsing is just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And we hear a gunshot. And the scene changes. We are now running through the streets. We're almost to the bridge, and when we get there, we find Deli crumpled on the side of the bridge. And Van Helsing's nowhere in sight. And we're like, oh my gosh, we run to Deli's side. But he's alive, guys. He's alive! Van Helsing didn't kill him. And he's like, don't concern yourself with me. I'm gonna be okay. But you need to go after Van Helsing because he is consumed by revenge right now. He's going to find Alistair, and like, I'm really scared. Like, I don't think he's gonna come back alive. And he tells us what Alistair said about how Alistair's true objective is Van Helsing. And like, Van Helsing's his work of art and all this like scary nonsense. And we're like, okay, we're gonna go after him and we're gonna stop him from killing Alistair. And we're gonna stop Alistair from killing him. And Deli just kind of smiles and he's like, I actually have a message for you to give to Van Helsing. I want you to tell him that I'm done with revenge, my revenge and his revenge. And I need Van Helsing to live. I need him to live for the sake of all the lives he took from me and my family. And I'm done hating him and I want him to live. He's really grown up. They grow up so fast. And we're like, okay, Deli, we will get that message to him. We take off back to the cathedral. Cut to Van Helsing. He's standing in front of Alistair, losing his mind. And he's like, I've come to kill you, Alistair. And Alistair's like, Van Helsing, did you not kill Deli? Come on, like, you are a disappointment. What will it take to get you to turn fully evil? And then he's like, you know what, actually? I know what it will take, and I'm gonna have to do my final secret move. And Van Helsing is like, shut up, I don't wanna hear any more from you. You can't escape, and I'm gonna kill you. And then suddenly Alistair's like, oh my gosh, the key to my final move is here. Who's the key to his final move? It's us. We've arrived. Van Helsing is like, oh, he can tell what's gonna happen. He's like, please don't try to convince me not to do this. My whole life has been building up to this revenge. And if I don't carry it out, then all of my horrible life and all the horrible things I've done will have been for nothing. This is my life's purpose. Like, I need to kill Alistair. And we tell him Deli's message in like one last attempt to hope this will like calm him down. And all he says is, that was so cruel of him to say. I wish he would have just killed me. This is so hopeless. And he's like, there's nothing I can do. No matter who forgives me, it doesn't matter because I will never forgive myself for what I've done. And Alistair's like, okay, enough with the drama. Like, I don't care about this little soap opera. Like, do you want me, Van Helsing, do you want me to make her go away? Like, I'm sure we'd all be thankful for that. And Van Helsing pulls out his gun. He's like, how dare you say that? And Alistair just like laughs at him. He's like, Van Helsing, like, come on. Did you really think, I know you're stronger than me. Did you really think I'd show up to some place, face off against some guy stronger than me, like without a plan? Like, do you think I'm dumb? And then he reveals a major secret, which you probably have guessed this by now. There's been many hints, but if you haven't, prepare yourself. He goes, Van Helsing, did you ever think that your strength was a little bit unnatural? Did you ever think that maybe it was hidden? That's right, Van Helsing. I used hidden strength on you. You are the human weapon, and that human weapon was created and fashioned by me, Jimmy A. Alistair. And he's like, I operated on you gradually over time. I used the trauma from the vampire war to unlock the hidden strength. That was like the catalyst needed. And I also forced you to confront your trauma through countless battles with people like neuntote, Jack, Deli, Phineas, and all of these battles honed you into this human weapon, consumed by trauma and hatred, and have unlocked your hidden strength. And Van Helsing is like, why? Why me? Like, why did you ruin my life? And he's like, Van Helsing, I am an artist and you are my greatest work of art. I did this to see the true beauty of humanity. Like all the pain and suffering and hatred, it's beautiful to me. And tonight, once you kill the person dearest to you, you'll finally be completed. No! So basically this guy had no reason. He's just an actual lunatic and like did it for fun. Okay. And so Van Helsing tries to shoot him, but suddenly he's like overcome with agony and he can't shoot Alistair like he physically can't. And Alistair just laughs and like taunts him. He's like, shoot me! Why can't you shoot me? Like, come on, do it. This is a great moment for us. We're like, well, if he can't, then I will. And we run at Alistair, ready to take him out. And he hits us with his cane and we fall on the ground. But we tried, like points for trying. And he's like, come on, girl. I need you to put on a show for me. Like, I'm not the one who's gonna kill you, but someone else here is. And Van Helsing is like, I will kill you if you lay a finger on her. Like, step away from her, Alistair. And then suddenly, Alistair starts going wild. He starts being very scary and he starts quoting the Bible, like quotes from like Genesis. And this sets Van Helsing off. This is the trigger. He cries out and like grabs his head. He's in clear pain. The hidden strength has been unlocked. His eyes start glowing red. He is clearly in severe mental pain and he attacks us. He comes at us and hits us and we fall to the ground. And Alistair's loving this. He's like, yes, Van Helsing. Cardia is the target of your revenge. Cardia killed your family. Cardia made you kill those vampires. You need to kill her now and live out your revenge and live out your life's purpose. And we're like, no, Alistair, no. And Van Helsing's like, don't talk. And like kicks us in the stomach and like steps on us. Like, just kidding. No, it's bad. And Alistair's like, okay, I'll give you a choice, Cardia. I'll tell Van Helsing to lay off and to not resist. And if you can kill him, I'll let you go free. Wouldn't that be fun? And we're like, don't even be stupid. We know you're not going to let us go free. That would be way too nice to Van Helsing. Like, we know that's a trick question. He's like, huh, okay, you're right. And then he kicks us in the stomach. Like, why is everyone beating us up? And he's literally like, I hate to raise my hand against a woman, but it must be done. Like, shut the hell up. And then he's like, Van Helsing, blow off her legs. That'll teach her a lesson. Maybe that'll make her reconsider my offer. Like, this is the second person who's threatened to like cut off our legs. Like, in the span of a few weeks. Like, this is a tough time. And so Van Helsing raises his gun and points it at us and we're like, stop, this isn't you, like, please. And that seems to kind of get through to him. He's slowly, you know how he's like stepping on us? He like slowly lifts up his foot a little bit and we use that opportunity to escape. We stand up and we run behind Alistair. We take off our glove and we press our poisonous hand to his neck. Yes, girl. And we say, free Van Helsing from your control right now. And he's like, wish I could, girl, but I can't. Now that it's been activated, like, there's no saving him. And so we're like, that wasn't the answer I wanted to hear. And we press our fingers against his neck and it starts to melt a little bit. And he's like, unfortunately, I don't feel pain anymore. I've built up my tolerance to pain, so you actually can't threaten me with this. And you know what? That doesn't even deter us. We say this badass line. We're like, well, I don't want to make you feel pain. I want to kill you. And he's like, okay, you can do that if you want. We're like, what? Like, why does nobody here care about, like, dying? And he's like, a long time ago, my family was murdered by a crazy guy. I know I said it was me who did it, but actually I guess that wasn't true. And it was some random guy. And, you know, I cried that day, but it wasn't because I was sad. It was actually because I thought, how beautiful to see all this pain and suffering. And now I love killing people. I do it all the time, and I would love if you did it to me. And he just starts like unpacking his like trauma, but I think it would take a lifetime to unpack the mind of this freak. He's like, no one understands me. Even the most psychotic killers tremble in fear once I tell them how evil I am. And I'm so lonely. And that is why I created Van Helsing, because I knew that he would be a kindred spirit to really understand me and appreciate my insanity. And we're like, no. Van Helsing is not like that. Like, he has good in his heart, unlike you. But Alistair's fully lost it. He's like, then we will celebrate the rebirth of Van Helsing with my own blood. And at the last second, he pulls a dagger out of his sleeve and stabs himself. And as he's dying, he gives his final order and says, Van Helsing, kill Cardia. And then he laughs like a crazy person in the middle of this cathedral. and he dies. Insane end to an insane man. And unfortunately, like, the order was received and Van Helsing goes crazy and he grabs our throat, lifts us up, and like pins us against a pillar. And he raises his gun. And we realize in that moment that there is only one thing we can do for him now. And that one thing is to let him kill us. And he points the gun at us and we ask Van Helsing, do you hate us? And he's like, of course I hate you. Like, you killed my family. I will never forgive you. He's like so under the influence of this hidden strength. And then we grab the gun that he's pointed at us and we put it directly on our heart. And we say, if it will save you, Van Helsing, then you need to kill us. And we just kind of close our eyes and we remember Elaine who we killed. And we know what it's like to be haunted by our past. And more than anything, we just want to free Van Helsing from that. And we say, don't you want to be happy again, Van Helsing? Don't you want to find happiness? And he says, I can never find happiness again. And I can never be forgiven. And we're just like, Van Helsing, you have suffered so much. And if this will release you from your suffering, turn your anger towards us, turn it all. You will be free from Alistair's curse once you do this. And, you know, if it lets you keep living and finally find happiness, then we're okay with dying. We're okay with letting you kill us. And in that moment, something shifts in Van Helsing and he screams. He drops us, he backs away, and he falls to the floor. He's kind of returning to his normal self. Like, this selflessness that we showed kind of brought him back to reality. And he's lying there like distraught, like he's losing it. And we rush to his side. He's like, you've been here all along. I can't believe I was about to kill someone else dear to me. Like, I can't believe I would do this. And before we can even like process what's going on, he takes a dagger and stabs himself. No, Van Helsing, please. And we're like, why would you do this? No. And he's like, no, this was the best option. This was the only way I can keep myself from hurting you. I did this to protect you. And we just beg him to live. Like, we cannot believe this is happening. The man we love. And he closes his eyes and we just start sobbing. We're sobbing. We're like wailing in this church. We're so distraught. And then we hear, okay, girl, you're hurting my ears. Like, can you stop? And we're like, oh my gosh, like, he's alive. He's alive. And we hug him and he's fully snapped out of his trance. I guess it took being hurt badly, like being knocked out for a bit. I guess that helps you come back from hidden strength. We saw that before with Deli. And he's back and we hug him and he's like, okay, girl, like, go easy. Like, I'm wounded. Like, settle down there. And we're just like, we're so glad you were alive. Like, we can't believe it. And he's like, you know, like, I was ready to face death, but you were so loud. Like, I had to come back. I had to come back for you. Like, you're always getting in my way. And he's like, for so long, I've been hurting you. I've been awful to you. And I couldn't die because I haven't even told you the most important thing yet. And we're like, what? He says, I will never forget my crimes, but I'm not going to let them drag me down anymore. I'm not going to let them drag us down anymore. And Cardia, I want to be with you. He wants to be with us. And we say, you were always running from us. And we finally caught up to you. And he says, I know. And thank you for always coming after me. I love you. Yay, finally. And then there's a really sweet part of narration. And it's like, then the dawn broke after a long, long night. And that is the end of the route. Isn't that crazy? I know that's a lot to process. I feel like that was a lot of like changes in 1 second. But yeah, talk about an emotional roller coaster. But don't worry, because as you know, we've reached the good ending. So there's a little scene left for us. And in this good ending, we are in the mansion. It's golden hour, it's sunset, and we're playing with Cece. And we really miss Van Helsing. We're like, oh, he's late coming home from work. Like, I just can't spend even 1 minute away from him. Like, where is he? And just as we're saying that, Van Helsing comes in and he's like, to think you just sent me off with a smile this morning. Even a few hours away from me and you're already acting like this. I love that, like, he teases her. I think it's so cute. And, you know, we ask him about his day. We're like, how was work? And he's like, oh, boring because you weren't there with me. But, like, I got through it. And we're like, why aren't you wearing your uniform? And he's like, oh, I changed out of it. Like, it's so uncomfortable. And we're like, oh, like, we wanted to see your cute uniform. Come on, Van Helsing. Like, and we learn that it's been a month since the whole Azoth incident. And finally, the crimes have stopped with the death of Alistair. And also all the problems and the cases with Twilight have ended too, because Phineas was dead. So that's kind of good. Like, one good thing Alistair did, I guess, was like put a stop to that whole nonsense. So 2 birds with 1 stone. And we kind of get an update on the group. Victor and Impy are still in London, and apparently they're looking for some precious item. I don't know what that could be. We might have to see in Van's after story, if we ever get there in 10 years. And Lupin is looking for some truth behind like some other terrorist attacks that are happening. I don't really understand that, but he's out of the picture. Saint Germain has returned to France, as he did in Impy's after ending, on some important unnamed business. Just full of secrets, this guy. And so the only ones left in the mansion are us, Van Helsing, and Cece. We're looking after it for SG. Deli is off trying to create a safe haven for displaced vampires and trying to get them accepted in society and accepted with the government. And Van Helsing is working as a bodyguard for Marquis Renfield. Do you remember Marquis Renfield? He was the good guy, the good noble who protested the vampire war. And so Marquis Renfield is kind of trying to mediate like a good relationship between the vampires and the humans, and so that's why he needs this bodyguard, because a lot of people don't like him. But so Deli often encounters Van Helsing at like political events and stuff. Like sometimes Deli shows up to like be a representative for the vampires, which is really sweet. And so today they were at some like Goodwill mixer and they got to see each other, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, can we go to the party next time? Like, we miss Deli and we want to see you in your uniform. And he's like, no. If you wore a fine gown to an event like that, the amount of attention you'd attract, like, it'd be crazy. There'd be lowlifes all over the place trying to get a dance with you. He's so sweet. And then instead, he hands us a bag and he's like, change into this and we're gonna have a little party, just us 2. So we do, and we go up to the roof of Buckingham Palace and we are dressed in finery, okay? He's in his fancy uniform and we are in this beautiful gown that Victor made for us. Like, okay, Victor, that was a nice thing to do. And it's beautiful and it's poison proofed. And we just kind of look out at the view and Van Helsing is like, isn't this just like the most beautiful view you've ever seen? We're like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. And Van Helsing is like, and now, if you'll remember, we still have our poison. So just think about that. We got through this whole route. We never kissed him. We never held his hand. Honestly, he hated us until the very last second. So not really the romantic hijinks we had with Impy, but you know, whatever. At least we have this one scene. And he's like, until I've released you from your poison, like, I just want you to have the best life possible and experience all the beautiful things you can until I can give you all the love you really deserve. And then he's like, won't you please dance with me, my dear, on this rooftop in your fine gown? And we're like, of course we will, always. And so we dance the night away and we decide to go through life together, finding happiness, even despite our traumatic pasts, and to not forget them, but to not let them drag us down, and to live as best we can to atone for the things we've done. Yeah, that's the end of Van Helsing's route. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was not as fun and thrilling as some others here, but there are moments in it that I really like. I really like the end, and I like the dynamic these 2 have, and I'm excited to get to their after story from the second game, because that's where you see him really, you know, express love for us and like he's kind of like he's like awkward, you know, he's like never had love like this. So that's the side of him I like to see. But you know, we had to get through this trauma to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. We got to see Alistair in his true insanity, and unfortunately that won't be the last time we see him. I'm sorry to say. We will have to deal with him again. I like this route because it's not fully focused on us, and we don't really get to hear about our poison a lot. That's not like the main focus, which I like. I like when they take departures from that, because a lot of the routes are like, let's fix the poison. How do we fix the poison? The poison is ruining my life. And honestly, he was more of a mess than us, which was great. We didn't even have to deal with our own trauma because he had enough to go around. So I hope you enjoyed. Next time, unfortunately, no, I'm gonna have a positive outlook. Next time, fortunately, will be the one and only Victor Frankenstein. And I'm actually excited because his route goes crazy and reveals some more truths about the government. Sadly, you may start to see Vicky Q in a new light. She's not the beautiful girl boss we thought that she once was. But get excited for that. I'm excited. and I will do some meditation and therapy to try to unpack my hatred for Victor before we enter into this new chapter, so that I can be fair and open-minded. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I always enjoy making these. I had a great time talking to myself for many hours. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time for Brewing Potions with Victor Frankenstein.